Inside every living thing, there is a connection to the powers that be. Call it instinct, intuition. Deep down, we all know our purpose in this world.
Are you saying I was meant to be an actress?
No, I'm saying you're meant to be an incredibly famous and wealthy actress.
Welcome to Gimmicks, a podcast about the high-concept, experimental, structure-breaking gimmick episodes of TV. From musicals to bottle episodes to a story about a main character taking a dramatically different path from what we've seen in the show. I'm one of your hosts, David Arnold.
And I'm Derek B. Gale, and I'm sorry, does nobody care that there's a girl in Reseda that's about to be fed to a no-eyed three-mouthed monster?
What are we even doing in Reseda? Good lord. Poor Reseda just gets the nasty end of this lollipop the entire time.
I gotta be honest, I know nothing about LA, so I'm just like, I'll take your word for it. I guess it's bad. I don't know where it is or what it means or what's happening there, but sure.
Well, Derek, if you've ever seen Clueless, it's in the Valley, so you know that's what I can give you.
Actually, that does help. So
good.
That context is actually helpful.
Well, this episode, if you couldn't have guessed it from our early conversation, we're talking about Angel, Season 3, Episode 11, Birthday.
For those of you who are not familiar with Angel, this is a spinoff of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Of course, focus on the titular Angel, played by David Boreanaz. In this show, it comes after season 3 of Buffy. He flees Sunnydale to give Buffy some space. He holes up in Los Angeles, helping the helpless with Sunnydale's recent high school graduate, Cordelia Chase, played by Charisma Carpenter, and also disgraced watcher turned demon hunter, Wesley Wyndham-Pryce, played by Alexei Denisov. Yeah, and that's, like Buffy, whole ensemble cast. We'll talk about some of the other cast members. That I think is sort of the core of the show for the majority of the show. Sort of started off as like a noir-y kind of pastiche and then grew really into more of just like a really broad, really weird urban fantasy. I think we can talk about it, but definitely something that started as like very much in Buffy's shadow and I think really grew into something very, very distinct and kind of on its own.
Yeah.
It was, of course, created by Joss Whedon. We will talk about him. And also created by David Greenwalt, who show ran the first 3 seasons of the show and then left right before it got really bad in season 4. We'll talk about that too. But David, what is your experience with Angel?
For both Buffy and Angel, I didn't catch these when they were sort of hitting the main waves on the CW. I was a Dawson's Creek kid. I didn't need to do much more than what I got. Wednesday nights were my thing, so Tuesday were for the spookies, and I didn't need to be there. But I got into them later. My college roommate was dating a guy who had Buffy season 1 on DVD, and he was obsessed with Cordelia Chase, as totally righteous to be.
Sure.
And they would quote it insufferably to each other for their 2-week long relationship. And I was really into the idea of this sort of mythos, and that's when I started to get on the bandwagon, and I was a DVD viewer. So by the time it came to sort of fill in my Rolodex with information about Angel, Netflix was doing their disc at a time. Send a disc to your home and you can watch it. And I watched the entirety of Angel from Discs in the Mail Netflix in my 5-disc DVD changer. Nice. That was the hottest shit that I could have as a bachelor man who loved television. I remember very little of it, rewatched quite a lot of it. Text to Derek earlier, what happened to this hot cop from the first season? And just the things I totally did not remember. I do remember this show not being lit very well. That persisted, which gives it this nice dark feel, but also I can't see anything that's going on feel. But it is fantastic. I do love it. And I love a lot of the cast who come in. I do think that it's a lot of fun, and I do have a soft spot for Boreanaz.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't a first time watcher when Buffy or Angel was airing either. Yeah. I didn't come to Buffy until around 2009, after years and years of knowing of it and reading about it and seeing random episodes in reruns on TV out of context and sort of knowing that it would be a show for me, but I just, for whatever reason, I just never got around to it. And then it just became by 2009, it was more accessible, whether you get the disc
Right.
from Netflix or whether you watch it on Hulu or watch it on Netflix. Like, it became more accessible, so I'm like, there's no reason for me not to watch it. And I have a distinct memory of watching it. I think I was watching it on Hulu at the time. It was bouncing back and forth between platforms. But I watched the first episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Hulu, and I remember, like, people were telling me for the longest time, like, season 1, it's really bad. You just got to get through it. Like, it's not great. But I remember watching the very first episode, and there's the moment when, like, Buffy bumps into Cordelia in the alley, and Cordelia's like,
God! What is your childhood trauma?
Have you guys seen Willow? Did she come by here?
Why? Do you need to attack her with the stick? Jeez. Excuse me. I have to call everyone I have ever met right now.
and then she pulled out her giant brick of a phone and is like, I've got to call everyone I've ever met right now. And I'm like, I love this show.
Yeah.
This show is perfect.
Yeah.
And like all in, like right from the first episode. And like Cordelia absolutely fell in love with her. And I didn't expect that, like going into it, like
Right.
as much as I'd heard from Buffy of like how influential it was on television and like, you know, how it made strides for like queerness and like the things that it just did for genre TV. Like that's what I was coming in for. I didn't expect it to be so funny, and I didn't expect for Cordelia to be such a fun, like compelling, fabulous, like queen bitch character
so
that
good.
like is like tailor made for like a gay man to just fawn over,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So like it totally makes sense. However, I always intended to then follow up with Angel, especially knowing that like the love of my life, Cordelia Chase, like moves on to that show. But I think also at that point, in conjunction with like Buffy conversations and its importance to pop culture, I think I also knew about like vaguely generally that like what happens to Cordelia is like both really, really good and then really, really bad
Really
in
bad.
Angel. And that kind of put me off on watching it.
Fair.
I think that also I didn't really like Angel as a character very much on Buffy, like unless he was evil. I've since very much changed my mind since watching Angel because I really like what they do with him as a character and then retroactively like him more. But like at the time it was sort of like, I don't feel like attracted to the show enough by the character of Angel being the lead, and I'm afraid of what happens to Cordelia. So I'm just maybe gonna just not watch the show.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched like the first couple of episodes. I
Yeah.
remember like when I was going through my Buffy watch, but like just I couldn't bring myself to take the plunge and I couldn't get into it. And it was years. And again, always like still hearing as many bad things as I hear about Angel, I would still hear good things too. Like one of the things that I remember, there's like a quote that Angel has in the second season that I really liked, where it's like, if nothing we do matters, then all that matters is what we do.
Yeah.
And it's like such a beautiful quote and like such an encapsulation of what this show is and like such a great philosophy to live by. So I always had stuff like that in mind. So, and it was like, eventually maybe I will finally give it a shot. And then ironically, it wasn't until Charisma Carpenter came out about all of the abuse that she suffered on set at the hands of Joss Whedon, until all of that came out, that I was like, as weird as it is, the way that Charisma Carpenter was presenting that stuff, and we can dig deeper into everything around that, but like for me hearing about
Yeah.
it was like her approach was that like, I hate the experience that I had, but I still love the character that I played and love the work that I did. And like, I am still proud of that and still support that. And that's what makes this extra hard, is that not only did I like receive so much abuse from this person, I also don't want to put the work that I did behind me, you know, that still means something to me. And so I was sort of like, I feel like I need to watch the show for her specifically, which is like, again, it's a weird like reaction to have, but I'm glad that I did, because I first watched Angel just a couple of years ago, like right around the time that came out, and went through the whole show, and I like really fell in love with the show. And really fell in love with everything that was done with her character up to a certain point. But then once
Yeah, up to a
shit
point,
gets
up to a
really bad with her, it's like so clear on screen that you can
Yeah.
really like tell like this is only happening because behind the scenes a showrunner wanted to kind of drag an actress through the mud because he was mad at her. And it like everything kind of makes sense and clicks into place when you watch it. And it ended up kind of make me feel better about the experience, because it's sort of like, I don't even have to pretend to try to like what's happening, that if I'm feeling distaste, I don't have to like try to understand it or like it. I know exactly what's happening, and I can just let that shit happen, finish that season, and then move on, you know? I feel like you can't not have complicated feelings about this show, but I do think that like even with the context of what happened on set, which we can I guess dig more into, but like I do think it's such an interesting show, and the good stuff that comes out of this show, especially from Charisma Carpenter and the character of Cordelia, is like really
so
some
good.
of the best genre TV I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's really interesting, Derek, because when we were talking about this earlier, you were like, oh, I think I'm going to like this a lot more than you did. And I was like, wow, yeah, because I did get like a bad taste. And then there was a turn upwards right towards the end that was really good for me. And of course, we didn't, I do think people knew, but we, the consumer, didn't have that kind of awareness when I was going through this. In fact, I think the name Joss Whedon was spoken with honey on the tongue. I think that there was this idea that, wow, a man can be a feminist, and it was all Jackson Katz and this like nonsense good bald white guys who were going to like save us from the negatives of misogyny, who all ended up like really perpetuating them even further. And but I didn't know that. All I knew is that we took this badass bitch awesome character and then dropped her. No wrap up, no good curtailing of storylines, and a real weird late 4, early 5 swing with all of that going on. Or late 3, early 4. I don't remember when, but really, really strange end of her arc.
Yeah. I guess for context for listeners, I will say the Buffy episode of Gimmicks from I guess last year that I did with Merrily, like that came out not that long, I think, after the Charisma Carpenter Whedon stuff really like blew up. So we talk about that a lot then as well. So if you listen to that episode, you're probably hearing me say the same things all over again. But I think that like it was such an interesting, it's just such an interesting experience because it is very common, obviously now, unfortunately, for like beloved creators or actors or whoever that seem like they're really progressive or seem like they have, have made a really huge mark on culture to turn out to actually be shitty people and to sort of grapple with like, well, the things that they were a part of, the things that they made, how do you make space for like recognizing the impact that it made on you or culture, and also make space for like the fact that shitty people were involved. And I think the Buffy Angel stuff is like made more complicated by the idea that like Whedon obviously is like such a hugely influential and important part of the legacy of that universe and those two shows, but he's also not the only important piece of it. And there are so many other people that were involved in it that were incredibly influential in making these shows what they were and making this universe what they were. And like, I feel like across the board, all of them, everyone involved, including people who have spoken out about having been victims of abuse by Joss Whedon, like none of them have like told you to stop watching their work. Like everyone still wants you to engage what they did and are still very proud of what they did, which makes it complicated. And it's sort of like, if you never want to watch Buffy or Angel again, I get it. More power to you. I think that you should like live your truth in that regard. But I also think it's like the actors who were involved are sort of like, I fucking love what I did, even if it was miserable doing it. And I'm like in favor of celebrating that,
Well, and we get a little bit of that celebration today because we've got that new Audible story that was told as an audio drama with Slayers. And, Charisma Carpenter comes back, Amber Benson comes back. We've got some other voices there. I know I'm missing a lot of people who are part of this.
Emma Caulfield is fucking amazing in that.
Lord,
also,
Jesus.
She's not one who's like came out against Whedon particularly, but it is one where it's like her character died for like no reason, and like and she's been supportive of everyone else too. So like everyone involved in that project, it's like a whole reclamation, I think, kind of that universe by people that either were wronged by Whedon specifically, or if they weren't directly wronged by him, are like have like shown outward support of the people who were wronged and like wanted to support them. And it's like that the Slayers thing is so interesting, I think, because it's like I feel like if you're someone who is trying to really grapple with like how you pursue engaging with properties that are linked to like deeply bad or problematic people, like that's kind of an answer to it, where because everyone involved in that project is sort of like, Joss Whedon is probably making a little bit of a paycheck from that because it's his intellectual property. it's more than likely because it's an Audible thing. It's probably a drop in the bucket for him, but it's like
good.
At the end of the day, it is something created by and endorsed by the people that he wronged, that are telling stories that they feel are representative and celebrating the characters that they played that were also probably hurt by him, you know, and being able to really reclaim that. And that whole Audible series is just like a celebration of like Cordelia specifically, but also like so many other characters in that universe that I think really got the short end of the stick when it comes to the Buffyverse. And it's so fucking cool. And it's like in an age full of just like unnecessary revivals and like legacy sequels and stuff, it's like they found a really neat way to do it in a way that like doesn't feel like it's just like a cash in. It felt like something that was kind of necessary for and even sort of cathartic for like both the audience and everyone involved. It's just really cool.
Yeah. It's, you know, what's also fascinating to me is that it's this type of restorative justice to allow art that there was a problematic factor involved to creating, and to sort of take that and use it as a way to be healing, to be celebratory. You know, you point out the money thing, but that's such a unique way of looking at art, is that art is a product and it ends up creating some sort of like revenue stream for someone, and that gets divided by a bunch of people. And to a lot of the people who created this, it's almost more art as a type of therapy. And I think there's a beauty when we think about the restorative nature of that. And that's why I'm glad that we have that now to speak about, because I think this would be a little bit more of a dour introduction to this episode if we couldn't point to that things were a little bit better because of the people who were brave enough to tell their stories.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think it sort of helps. And then you can kind of look back on what they did, and it's just sort of like they have been able to get their kind of happy ending like years later, you know, not that it obviously not that it like justifies the hell that they went through when they were making this stuff, but it's like at the very least we can go back and watch it and just be like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for them. And even like it's even weird with like Angel specifically, because it's like, I think like with Charisma, it's weird because you watch it early on, like she's simultaneously being really lifted up and like celebrated as a character, and like her character is given so much good shit for the first like 3 seasons of the show, and like this whole episode is like a celebration of like how good her character is and how good Charisma is at playing her character, and then to know that like she's simultaneously backstage being like made fun of for getting fat and stuff. It's like fucking weird. And then they just like completely throw it all out the window in the next season anyway, just because one dude was mad at a lady for getting pregnant and being too hot. Like, it's just fucking weird. It's also fucking weird.
Yeah.
But despite all that, Angel's a really good TV show.
Like, great show. Yeah. We're talking about this like weird divot that I can't remember when happens. But 5 seasons, right? This went 5 seasons.
It's 5 seasons. Yeah.
All 5 seasons were a romp. I mean, I waited eagerly for the next disc to arrive to my apartment. Like, I was happy about watching this. I just remember at one point in time looking at a disc and being like, I don't want to watch this now, but the next one's already on its way and I can't stop. Yeah. And I did feel almost duty bound. And we've all felt that way about a show. We've all felt that way about a show, but it's never a good feeling.
Sure. Well, Angel's weird too, because I think like it's unlike Buffy. Angel, I think, embraced a type of serialization that was really masterfully done. Where like Buffy, I love the structural simplicity of how Buffy seasons are crafted. Where it's like you have a big bad, you have your a big bad that's introduced maybe like 2 or 3 episodes in. You have your episode 7 that's like the big thematic turning point that defines what's happening in the season. You have like maybe around episode 13 where there's a really big turn in like dramatically in the story, and then it like the last half of the season barrels through with heavy serialization to then defeat the big bad, and then it's over. And like every season of Buffy to one degree or another is exactly like that. And Angel, I think smartly is like, if Buffy is about growing up and like being a high schooler, teenager to very early adult, where things are a lot more structurally defined when you're that age, then Angel is about like living as an adult, right? It's sort of like, all right, you've graduated school, you're just living your life, you've sorted, think you've found what you're going to be doing. okay, like, well, what the hell now? Everything still sucks and I'm miserable. So like,
Right.
what's the point of existence? It's asking more complicated questions throughout the show. So it sort of makes sense that its storylines also sort of reflect that. So you get like, depending on the season, you're going to get like multiple mini arcs. You're going to get like season 4, even though I don't like a lot of the content and what they do with Cordelia, what I do like about the 4th season that I think is really masterfully done is that it is serialized from episode 1 to 22. It is one story, one right after another, and not in like an annoying like Netflix 10-hour movie kind of way, but in a like true like every episode is an individual episode that just moves the story by one by one, which is really hard to do for 22 episodes, you know. And it is, and again, hate some of the content of that season, but the actual pace and progression of the story is really, really impeccably done. And then season 5 is like a bunch of standalones that are just thematically tied. Like it's just whatever sort of works with the story they're telling, which again sort of reflects like the complexity of the themes they're dealing with like existential questions and like overcoming addiction and stuff, and also like life doesn't make sense once you're an adult. There's like no structure after a certain point, you know.
The adulthood is such a good thing to recognize, Derek. I mean, of course I probably did clock that subconsciously, but I don't think I really thought that through even in this episode, because I do think about the characters in Angel as being full-fledged adults who are like paying taxes and stuff. Like even Cordelia's whole shtick in the first season is like, we have to get paid for doing work. Like that's how capitalist society works. But like, this is Cordelia's 21st birthday, this episode. And wow, we go out of our way to never reference her age because it's unbelievable. It would be unbelievable because that's adolescence. And this is like stoic middle adulthood.
It's a thing that you have to just sort of like ignore with this show, because like in the reality of the show, she's the same age as everyone on Buffy comparatively. In like season 6, I think, is where this season takes place. And she's not. And I think part of it is like, I think that when they brought Cordelia over, I think they recognized like Charisma Carpenter, I think she was one of the oldest among that cast anyway. And she also just like performs her character as older and more mature. Even when she's like season 1 Cordelia being like super vapid Queen Bee, she's still like just, because of the confidence which she portrays herself, she never really comes off as a teenager. And so I think by the time they bring her to like, she ends up, even though it's like at the outset, if you're watching Buffy and it's sort of like, this is the character that they bring to their like gritty noir spinoff, like, but once you see her in Angel, it makes sense. And it's like, she was always like the most mature of that cast anyway, and they just sort of like pretend like, I know that she's technically supposed to be a 21-year-old, but we're just going to say she's a 30-year-old now. Just treat her like a 30-year-old.
She's totally 30.
And those storylines work better for that character anyway. Like you don't need to see Cordelia in college or whatever. Like that shit just doesn't. She's evolved. She had evolved beyond that before we even met her in the first season. You know.
You are absolutely right, because Buffy is the same age as Cordelia, conceivably. We're in season 6 of Buffy. We're in season 3 of Angel. Buffy's working at the Double Meat Palace, a very traditional young adult job. Cordelia is like a straight up senior executive assistant in charge of like sales of demon hunting. My girl has like like she is just rocking it. That is so awesome. You know, that reminded me though, before we move off sort of this production stuff of the seasons, this is the split, right? Buffy is now it's on
Buffy is on UPN and
UPN,
Angel,
that's right.
and Angel is still on WB. CW does not exist yet.
Oh yes, I guess. And so even we get a couple of references, but I know that there was a lot of like red tape associated with like crossovers after this transition happened.
It was like it was one of those things where it was like, I don't think it was sort of like legally you can't do X, but it was very much like executives are highly encouraging you. Like it's not mandatory, but it is highly encouraged. So it's basically mandatory to limit your crossovers. And so, you know, because Buffy is on a competing network right now, you know, so it makes sense. So like, I think that when the writers were able to like push for crossovers, when it was sort of like, this is extremely important narratively. Like, we have to acknowledge that Angel learns that Buffy died. So like, we have to have that. But for the most part, and I think, like they're like Willow makes an appearance in the next season.
Yep.
But that's only in service because they want to bring Faith over to Buffy for the last season. Like, it's only when there's a very narrative significance that they do the crossovers at a certain point. But I think like it kind of benefits the show when they like free themselves of the sort of Buffy reigns. It lets this show be more of its own show and let it be more adult. It lets it be more of an urban fantasy. I think it gets significantly weirder once it doesn't have to like rely on whatever's going on with Buffy, and then it's sort of like you can do more apocalyptic stuff, and it's like we can't really reference it in Sunnydale anyway, so we're just gonna kind of pretend that nobody mentions whatever's going on either way until it's extremely important for that to come up.
Yeah.
For 244 years, he brought pain and suffering to the living. Now, faced with an eternity of remorse, he has come to the City of Angels for one last chance at redemption.
You want to help yourself? Help them. It's about reaching out to people, showing them that there's hope left in this world.
I'm scared, Angel.
Any chance that you might be in need of some rescuing? I don't think you're gonna pull that trigger. Good call.
Every day, he must resist his darkest instincts and fight the evil that remains within him. Charisma Carpenter, Glenn Quinn, and David Boreanaz. Angel. Cordelia gets an offer she can't refuse.
I'm gonna make you a star.
But to keep the fame and the glory, someone close to her will pay the price.
Angel.
An all-new Angel.
Well, this episode that we're talking about is Birthday. The original air date was January 14th, 2002, and the synopsis, per IMDb, Cordelia learns that her visions will kill her unless she goes back in time and chooses a different path in life, one that doesn't involve Angel.
I love that they specify back in time, and then in the episode itself, it's sort of like, no, we're not going back in time.
Go out of their way that they don't do back in time.
Yeah.
But honestly, for IMDb, this was pretty good. I gave this an A-. I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, it works.
This episode was written by Mar Smith. They started as a script coordinator in season 1, joined the writing staff in season 2, and became a story editor for seasons 3 and 4, and are credited on a number of the best episodes of the seasons, like Fredless, where we meet Fred's parents, and Orpheus, where Faith goes into Angelus's mind. Angel is Mar's most prominent writing credit, but she has been a producer and writer on shows including Burn Notice, The 9 Lives of Chloe King, and the short-lived WB Tarzan series.
Did you ever watch the Tarzan show?
No,
I mean,
no,
it was
I
only
wish
like
that I had
10 episodes or something, but like it was one of those things where it was like I remember watching at the time. I'm sure I would feel differently now, but I watched it at the time and actually kind of liked it because it was like hot Tarzan who fucks comes to the city.
Yeah,
like that was basically the premise. And it was like Sarah Wayne Callie's was in it. Like she was Jane. And I think someone else was in it too. Actually, I want to look it up. There was someone else that was like, oh shit, they're in it. I'm going to look this up.
While you look that up, Derek, I will tell you and the listeners that I was duped in to watch a fuckable Beast of the Beauty and the Beast television show, and I was never duped again by this strategy. To the point that I will not watch Once Upon a Time because I just feel like that's all that show is.
You didn't like Mitch Pileggi. Mitch Pileggi and Lucy Lawless were the ones I was thinking of that are in the Tarzan show. Like bizarre polls for it. I think it lasted like 8 or 9 episodes, but yeah, you didn't like the Ron Perlman, Linda Hamilton Beauty. Oh wait, no, you're talking about the CW Beauty and the Beast. Sorry. No, I didn't bother with that at all. I heard it wasn't horrendous, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I think you could pass on that. But that came in the mail on DVDs for me, and I just kept going because I really thought like this is going to get better, and it never did.
Yeah, I mean, it's the impact that it made on on me is that I originally thought you were talking about the one from the 80s, and I forgot that the CW one ever even existed. So
yeah, well, that's good. Ron Perlman as the Beast, moreover, is totally my thing.
I mean, it's because when you said fuckable Beast, that's exactly my mind went to the Ron Perlman cat Beast.
That's fair. That's really fair. Well, this episode was directed by Michael Grossman, one of the journeyman directors who pops up directing 1 or 2 episodes of pretty much every genre TV show from the late 90s through now, probably including A Beauty and the Beast here or there. From Firefly to Pretty Little Liars to Legends of Tomorrow to Cobra Kai, this guy has just done pretty much everything.
Yeah.
He only directed 4 episodes of Angel across 3 seasons, but that's pretty good because they did roll through directors pretty frequently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just for fun, and I don't do this always, but I did look at the other language titles for this episode. They're almost all like Happy Birthday or Happy Birthday Cordelia. Sure. But for whatever reason, the German is Die Qual der Wahl, which translates to the agony of choice, which is just a much darker episode.
It's
title.
kind of beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
it's fitting for this. That's
really
fitting for this show, though. Like that's kind of like that's like the ethos of the show, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like that, like the darkest shit that you have to deal with in life, just put through the lens of like fun, silly fantasy monster show, like you know.
I do, and it does make me end up wondering what the Germans titled "It's a Wonderful Life." Maybe that's something equally dismal to say about that.
I mean, The Agony of Choice is also a great title for "It's a Wonderful Life." You know,
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the gimmick of this episode, I just alluded to it, but it explores an alternative universe in which the events of the show never occurred because Cordelia took a different path. The original idea of the episode came from writer Mar Smith's desire to move along and pay off Cordelia's increasingly painful visions, saying on the season 3 DVD that it couldn't go on forever and they just couldn't have her have seizures every time she had visions.
It would get really annoying after a while.
It already was getting a little tiring because it's got a torture porn like feel when we're watching just Cordelia be so in pain.
Yeah.
And because it's serialized enough, because I think we're enough away from Monster of the Week that you do have to almost raise the stakes every time.
Oh, yeah.
And they can only get so high.
Yeah. It's like, okay, at what point are the migraines just going to explode her head? You know, like,
yes.
like how much more painful can they get? You know, it's been since like literally like season 1 that this has been going on too. So they really did play that like Cordelia has painful visions card for like as long as they possibly could.
Yeah. Well, and so they decide to pay off the original concept of the visions, which was that Doyle had them and he was part demon, and they explored it in a Wonderful Life-like story.
What I think is really interesting is that like a lot of shows have done a variation of It's a Wonderful Life. A lot of shows have had alternate universe things, but especially the It's a Wonderful Life thing where it's like you have a character witnessing what life without them in some capacity would have been. It is like an easy go-to. What I do think is interesting, though, is that I feel like a lot of other takes on it are like the hook obviously is alternate universe, and then that's what the stories just go with. It's just like that's the whole story. What I think is really interesting about this episode is that it's like that's still the hook and the memorable part, but like the actual alternate universe is kind of only a really small portion of the episode. It really truly is actually following the actual structure and like pace of the It's a Wonderful Life movie, which is that the alternate universe part of It's a Wonderful Life, we all remember it, but it's only like a very small final portion of the movie, you know?
Oh yeah. It's the most memorable for us because I guess it sticks with us. But when you watch the movie, it's actually like, it's not as weird as I think we all remember it being.
Right.
It actually gets the service along very quickly. Well, George Bailey would be happy because this is a nod enough that we follow a couple of the individual like tropes and structure of It's a Wonderful Life really closely. The extended opening section, the middle section where someone guides you in key moments, and then this brief, impactful final section where they experience what it would be like without them, and then make a different decision in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting too because like there had already been an alternate universe episode of Buffy where Cordelia made a wish that was sort of like
Yeah.
life. In that case, it's life without Buffy, and then goes to that alternate universe. And it already is one where like it's a great episode, memorable episode. It's a Cordelia centered one kind of, but the twist of that, spoiler for that episode, but like the brilliant twist of it is that like she's the one venturing to the alternate universe, but then she dies halfway through it,
like
which is
maybe like a third through. Like she dies early in that episode.
it's fucking unreal. So like it kind of makes sense where if they want to do a play on that again, they're not going to follow that exact same structure. It would be really easy to just be like Cordelia's like, I can't handle the pain anymore. I wish I didn't have the visions, and then the whole episode is
it was a wish.
universe. But it's like we've done it before, and also like we'll explore it in this episode. But I think there's some brilliance in the idea that it's sort of like Cordelia like would not hesitate for a second, really, of just being like, never mind, this is bad. The vision's back. Like you wouldn't be able to stay in that universe for very long. And I think some character stuff they mine out of how quick the actual alternate universe is. You know,
it's interesting that you bring up that a lot of shows have done, and It's a Wonderful Life. I'm having trouble thinking of a genre show that hasn't. I can think of plenty of like sci-fi and obviously like sitcoms and stuff, but I'm having trouble like going through my WB catalog and thinking of a genre show that didn't do one of these.
Yeah.
Charmed did one. I mean, like Buffy's done one. That's wild.
Yeah.
This is a well that has been gone to.
It is. And you know what's really funny too is I feel like we were picking this episode and put it on the schedule just because I wanted to do Angel and because Slayers had come out like recently. Didn't even think about the fact that this is coming out in December and this is basically an It's a Wonderful Life episode. It's not a Christmas episode, but it is riffing on a famous Christmas movie.
No, I declare this now to be a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Deal with it. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Accidental synergy. I love
Also, thank God we're covering this after our John Reed episode, because there's a lot of like parallels coming in. We got It's a Wonderful Life coming in. When we get to Cordelia's sitcom, I was getting, probably just because that's the most recent sitcom I've watched was John Reed, but I was getting some Reed vibes out of how she was sort of like posing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I know you put in the notes the Mary Tyler Moore quote, but now I only have eyes for Donna Reed. Sorry. Well, let's go ahead and jump into this episode then. The series, starts with cold open. So we have a cold open here. Cordelia is delivering an acceptance speech for Fred. We've got some background music telling us that this is a melodramatic moment.
I'd just like to say thank you. You believed in me when no one else would. Even in my darkest hours, you were there for me, and that means more to me than you'll ever know. I guess what I'm really trying to say is, I love you. To all my fans, this is for you.
But it turns out that they're just on their hands and knees, scrubbing the floor after a recent battle with the big bad of kind of the series, Wolfram and Hart.
Yeah. I think, and part of that too is like her like acceptance speech thing. It's a second before you recognize that she's even giving her fake acceptance speech. It's definitely played as like, you think that she's like probably talking to Angel, like you've really like gave my life meaning or whatever. I know this is like literally the first thing in the episode, but I'm going to ask a question anyway that might open a can of worms. So like,
let's do it.
Because this episode definitely plays with sort of like the Cordelia Angel, like will they, won't they, that has been playing since very early in the show and then just kind of just falls off at a certain point. Yeah. What are your feelings? Did you ship Angelia, Cord Angel? Cord Angel is probably what it is. I'm sure there's definitely a name, but I don't know what it is. Do you ship Angel and Cordelia?
Did I go for this the first time? So I will tell you from a recent rewatch, I did ship Angel and Hot Cop Lady, whose name I can't remember, but she was smoking, and they should have totally gotten. Nope. Okay. Well, fine.
I'm not into that.
I now know where you fall on this. I don't know that I ever bought it, because I do think that maybe I was hoping for something better for Cordelia, and you turned around on Angel. I have never been a big Angel fan. I'm a big Boreanaz fan, and one day when I force you to watch Bones, you will see him in his best version, his most evolved version. But I don't know that I ever went for the two of them as a couple. Did you? Or were you did you write little stories?
I didn't expect to, but I also, like I said, I didn't expect to like Angel very much. And I think it's not even so much that I love Angel the character or whatever. Like, I think I like the complexity that they lended to him in this show and also allowed him to be funny as well in a way that I don't really know that he was allowed to be in Buffy very much.
No.
And I think partially because you put him up against Cordelia, like I think part of the brilliance of the setup of this show is that Angel is like presented as the sort of like your broody, like I'm Batman, like I'm so sad and I have a dark history, like trying to do cool things. And then you have Cordelia who's like, that's fucking dumb. Stop brooding, you idiot. Like do your work. And I think that dynamic is so cool. And I think she brings out a lot of fun and like lightness in Angel, even when he's at his darkest in this show. And it's like it's just such an interesting way because like she becomes the heart of the show for the majority of it. And it's so interesting for the heart of your show to be like a tactless, like vain, like bitch, you know, but it works because it's sort of like she will call you out on your bullshit and make you recognize your own humanity through that by just being like, no, like look at how stupid you're being, just be fucking normal. And like makes Angel better. And through that, I kind of like them together in that pairing because I think, you know, Angel and Buffy, I think like would sort of like rev up their own respective bullshit. Cordelia is going to always bring Angel back down to earth.
Yes.
And Angel's going to just like be someone for Cordelia to sort of take care of. And I think that dynamic works really well for me.
You know, it's interesting that you bring this up, Derek, because I actually agree with everything that you're saying, especially Buffy and Angel being terrible, which is how I interpreted what you just said. But I wonder if I'm not just on the won't they side of the will they, won't they?
Okay.
Because to me, it's like, it's got like a flavor of moonlighting here. Like I like the tension a little bit more than I like the idea of them being together.
I think that's fair. I think that is fair. And I mean, like, to be fair, we never see them together in this show.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
you know,
that's right. Yeah.
Like we never see what it would be like. So maybe they would be really boring if they were ever a couple. I don't know. Like I'm not necessarily falling on like the shipper end. Like I need them to get married together. More like I just really like their dynamic. And I do think that they have a lot of sparks when that romantic tension had gone, like if it is going on. I think that like because you know we didn't specifically, but like the Buffy shows in general love like not letting couples get together and like making trauma happen instead of that. So like I think that it would be inevitable that they never get together, but I do think I would have liked it better if it was sort of like Cordelia could have stayed alive and not like, you know, had sex with the son and given birth to like a demon and been possessed and been in a coma and then died or whatever. But I would have preferred that to not happen. And if they didn't get together, it's a thing where it's like they just maybe try to get together and then it's just like, actually this doesn't work or something. Like there's still like drama and like tension and even like dark stuff you could mine from them like trying to have a relationship. And then it's sort of like, oh shit, we were actually like, this actually kind of ruins the whole dynamic, you know, like I think that they could have still played that and it would have been really fun to see that unfold with Cordelia, who's going to call out like, our relationship sucks. Actually, we should break up. Like that also could be really, really funny because you know, she is important to the team and maybe probably would work better as just a partner and friend than a lover, you know?
I wonder if it's almost too close to the Wesley Cordelia history which we get a little bit of in this episode, but like they had googly eyes for each other at the end of season 3 of Buffy. They finally go into kiss. It's awful. They look at each other and go, this didn't work. Bye.
One of my favorite moments in like the entire Buffyverse. It's so fucking funny. And like, I've never seen anything like that on TV before ever.
So good.
So good.
Yeah. It's 80% of all kisses you have in your life will be terrible. So just like like we need to see more bad kisses.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, the posing, the language, everything that we've got going on, the melodramatic music, everything tells you that this is like a sincere moment from Cordelia, but it is just this canned acceptance speech that she's worked on forever to her fans after winning an Emmy, perhaps. Sure. And she's just doing it for Fred while they clean up. Fred's very impressed, but Cordelia says she never needed it because, well, look at where she is. We get Gunn to appear. J. August Richards, but still my heart. Comes in wearing a mask. I was taken aback when watching this because this is now a post-COVID world, and I was like, wow. really cool. But of course, it's just so that he's not inhaling industrial fumes. This is also what I liked about Angel. And we do a little bit of this in Buffy sometimes, but in Angel, we are constantly cleaning up from devastation. And it's a better way to me to tell of conflict that happened, to do the really banal, like, oh shit, we have to clean up from this giant fight that just happened.
Yes.
We get a quick moment where Gunn pointedly asks Fred if Wesley is back yet, and it seems ominous, but Angel comes in and he's holding his baby Connor. Derek, Connor is a big part of season 3.
Yeah.
I put this on, kind of forgot about this baby. We didn't talk about Connor at all.
I mean, well, like, okay, the baggage with Connor obviously is like once he comes back as a grown-up and everything, and I do think that, you know, most people hate him. I think, you know, the actor does the absolute best that he can with the character that just sucks, you know. It is just representative of like all the problems with the 4th season. But I will say I like the Connor stuff in this season, and I like the Connor stuff in the final season. It really is only Connor in the 4th season. As a baby, and even as like a 16-year-old at the end of this season, I think all of that stuff is like really, I think, well done. And I think if you're going to do a show about adulthood, part of adulthood is like having a child. And I do think the drama of like Angel, who never envisions himself as a father, having this thrust upon him with like a traumatic backstory behind it, and then just having to like live through it. And then the weird sort of irony of like all of these terrible circumstances giving him a baby, and then it just being like the light of his life. Like there's something really interesting about that. And I think they do explore some really cool stuff in the season with him.
Yeah, and he's very dad. Cordelia goes to hold Connor, and Angel says, "No, not with your gross chemically hands. Go wash up. You can't get near my son." He's very, very protective, paternal, which is just it's played for laughs a lot. And you mentioned this earlier, like Boreanaz gets to be more of a comedian here, and that is a lot of fun because before it was sort of jokes at Angel's expense, and now Angel gets to be the driving force.
Yeah.
So Cordelia goes to wash up because she wants to hold this baby. And after she leaves, Wesley comes in and dramatically asks, "Where is she?" We go to the bathroom where Cordelia is taking some prescription pills. It shot in the most like, this is a conspicuous pill being taken. This is bad news. You know what's going on here. That was no shade on Grossman. Like, you need to tell this story, and you've got 3 seconds to do it.
I will say, though, we've seen so many scenes of her having a migraine and taking pills up to this point. Like, in the context of this episode on its own, I think it works in fine. If you're watching this in succession, it's just sort of like, I know, I get it.
All right, well then this 3 seconds was exclusively for me. Yeah. Great.
It's fun. For this episode as a singular episode of TV, it works. It's literally only in context, but for this one episode, it is necessary. And it is important, obviously, because this is when all of this stuff comes to a head. So I get why they have to do it. I wish maybe they'd focus a little bit less on it leading up to it, maybe. But you know.
Well, when she comes out of the bathroom, it turns out that it's all a birthday surprise. We're singing happy birthday. We're paying royalties for it. And the group has brought a cake, that custom cake made with a superhero Cordelia wielding a crossbow.
Yeah.
She goes to hold
specifically a Wonder Woman with a cape, which is
I didn't clock that it was Wonder Woman.
Yeah, which is an odd choice, but sure. I mean, I guess Whedon really likes Wonder Woman.
I heard that.
So, you know.
Well, all feminists
wrote
do.
a fantastic Wonder Woman script that everyone loved.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow. Well, she finally gets to hold the baby, and no sooner is she holding Connor that she demands that Angel take him back. But it's not because she wants to open her presents. It's because she's having a vision. Yeah. And during her vision, she is hurled into a curio cabinet. She collapses onto the floor. And when she wakes up, she sees her body on the ground, and Cordelia is dead.
Or so we think.
Or so we think.
Yeah.
Or so we think.
Yeah, I do think that one like just character beat, if like, you know, again, if you're looking at this as just a singular episode, just trying to make sure you establish everything about Cordy, like I do think that the birthday thing actually does kind of clarify the dynamic of her character, where it's like she is still like, when they're sort of like joking about presents or whatever.
Did you make a wish? I sure did. Jude Law was a little busy, huh?
Oh, how disappointing for you. Well, I guess you won't be wanting the presents.
Oh, wanting presents.
You're sort of like, I guess you don't want your presents. She's like, no, I want presents, wanting presents. It's like, she's still like, throughout all of this, no matter how much growth she goes through over the course of this show, no matter how much she like learns empathy and like learns the importance of like connecting with people and like helping people, she's still like fucking like is like loves herself and loves things and loves money and loves getting things and loves celebrating herself. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's really like it's established there, but she is also still having a vision about someone that needs help and is like, for the whole episode is like trying to get that message out about her vision, you know, like, I love that. I think the thing that I love about Cordelia is that like you can be both. You can be vain and you can be a good person at the same time. Yeah. Like that's okay.
She is both. There's a great exchange that's between her and Lila where they're talking about some sort of like misogynist demon who's like killing women, and they have this tete-a-tete about shoes, and it's so Regina George Mean Girls between the two of them. And then it's instantly right back into the genre show of it all. It's a great little like 2-minute deal.
I remember that. It's so good. Yeah.
Well, we then get the opening credits. I gotta say, like, this song slaps. This was a great opener because it's morose. It tells you what's going on, but it's a lot of fun. It's fun to listen to. But we're not doing anything you know that special here. It's a picture of all the cast, and we cycle through it, and then we're done.
I like that it's color coded. Every cast member for every season gets their own color. I know that that's not a thing that means anything to you, but
were the colors significant then? I guess because I probably did notice that they were different. I just didn't clock it.
Yeah, not necessarily more, but I guess it's you know, Charisma Carpenter's green, Fred is purple. Wesley's yellow, like, and it's just you know, there's no reason for it. I just like when things are color coded because it's fun.
I love
and
that.
now you can have a color to associate with these characters that may or may not represent their essence or whatever. I think it was probably like arbitrarily chosen for them most of the time, but it's fine, you know.
I love it because you could have just done white. I mean, you could just done white on black.
Right. I think Lauren's color is pink, if I remember correctly, which I appreciate it. Because if Cordelia already has green, green would be obvious. I think he has pink. I could be misremembering. But
I would love that. I loved Lauren.
Yeah, me too. Lauren rules. This show does a lot, like for what Buffy does for like queer women. I feel like this show does a lot for queer men, even if it doesn't have a lot of like specific representation of like canon queer characters for men. Like the fact that Angel is like has a lot of feminine qualities, and it's often commented that he has like a gay man's taste in fashion.
Yes.
Like affectionately told that. Like Lorne is like just straight up a gay guy.
Lorne's queer, yeah.
And like even like Gunn, like J. August Richards is a gay man in real life. Like, you know, like Gunn is a straight character, but like I think that queerness comes through with him sometimes. Like
he's got some flair. He's got some flair. Yeah. And I'll say season 5 of Angel, Angel and Spike together are pretty gay. They're
absolutely
in every flashback in Buffy, in everything going forward in season 5, they're just a little gay together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think honestly, here's the thing why I think like a lot of queer people get into vampire stuff is that vampires are just like there's a certain level of pansexuality that comes with transition into vampirism. I contend that this is part of the vampire experience, that if you live forever and you drink blood, you just kind of get into everybody.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
We come back from the opening title sequence, and we're still in the Hyperion. The group is looking down at Cordelia's body while Cordelia herself watches the scene.
Come back to us.
I haven't gone anywhere, Angel.
Please, wake up. Angel, is she?
No! I'm not?
She's still breathing, heart's still beating.
Yes! But if I'm not dead, then...
She's just in some sort of trance or a coma.
Like hell I am.
Come on, let's get her over to the couch. Easy.
Okay. I get it. This is some kind of bizarre birthday present you guys cooked up. All right, joke's on me. Now put me back in my body.
She thinks at first that it's a bit for her birthday. I loved this because that's unbelievable. But oh, you all just teasing me for my birthday.
You magically separated my spirit from my body as a fun little bit for my birthday. Like, girl, you
scamps. It's really cute though, and she sells it. I mean, it actually like works for the scene.
Yeah.
She tries talking to them, but to no avail. In fact, Lauren comes downstairs and walks right through her, and that's when she knows, like, oops, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. The group discovers the pill bottle that's on Cordelia and figures out that the visions have been taking a toll on her. But Lauren says he detected woo-woo vibes, so it's not medical, it's mystical. Cordelia starts to hear some whispers, but they're inaudible. And she resolves to try to leave them a message, but she can't even grab a pen.
Yeah, I like that. Again, I mentioned this at the top, but it's like, obviously she's scared about what's happening to her, but like her number one priority is like getting the message about the vision that she had and helping this girl in Reseda that's in danger. Like, and it's so indicative of where she's at with her character at this point, because it's not, that's not how she would have been in season 1. But the fact that like it's sort of like, regardless of the mystical shit that's happening, my whole purpose in life is to save these people who are in danger. This person is in danger. They have to know that this person is in danger so they can help them. And like that's what she's focused on.
Yeah. I did notice, and it was my second watch through because I was wearing headphones to try to get a better sense of what was going on. But Cordelia's audio sounds much different than the rest of the cast. Not in like an 80. I don't know. I don't know if you noticed this or you clocked it or if it was on purpose or what.
I took it as intentional because it's like she's a ghostly presence.
Yeah.
Like
it's a little tinnier. It's a little echoier.
Yeah. Like, and I think it helps stand out because it's, part of this, even though the gimmick of the episode is like the Wonderful Life alternate universe stuff, like the first section of it, the gimmick is that she's an astral projection of herself and is just observing and they get through all of the tropes of an astral projection out of body experience thing like very rapidly in this opening, and that's part of that is just sort of like narrating on what's happening, and responding to people when they can't hear her. And I do think it helps it stand out more if her voice is distinct from them, so like your brain can really clock like that she is not actually there, that her dialogue is, intentionally meant to stand out from that and sort of feel like it's looped somewhere else,
Yeah. I tried to get a sense of what these whispers were saying. That was also why the headphones got broken out. And mostly inaudible. You got a couple of think about it, Cordelia. It's time for you to go. This isn't how it's supposed to be, meant to be. I missed the middle word because Wesley was talking. But there was a couple things you could make out, but you had to be wearing headphones to listen to them. It is meant to be misunderstood. And the subtitles said inaudible whispers.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah. We got it. We got what we needed. But the group all agrees to try to figure out what's going on. And so the group splits up. We send Gunn and Fred back to Cordelia's apartment, and everyone else is going to hit the books and stay with her.
Yeah. Oh, we get to meet Phantom Dennis again.
Oh my God.
I
love Phantom Dennis.
Another thing that it's like once Cordelia's basically sort of, becomes just like evil demon possessed in season 4, they just drop Phantom Dennis completely and never mention him again. Like he's at the very beginning.
That's why I fell off.
It's so shitty. It's like he's at the very beginning of that season and then it's just like never mentioned ever again. It's such a real bummer. Because it's such a fun, silly, like weird thing that this show has that again is not present in Buffy at all. That there's just a ghost that's just a friendly ghost that lives in Cordelia's apartment and is like fully invisible. You never hear a voice, never speaks. Has a backstory that was established early on in the show, but it's just like he's just a ghost that lives there and is just nice and likes Cordelia and that's where it stops. And it's just such a fun, weird thing to exist in this show.
I love that it was a recurring bit, but in season 1, episode 2 is when we meet Phantom Dennis, and sort of his like universe character is this universe reason of being is that we needed to put Cordelia in a place to live because Angel is a vampire. He can live, I don't know, wherever. Cordelia needed a place to live, and this is what she could afford, a haunted apartment. It was the only way that she was going to get an apartment. It was cute. It was cute.
Yeah. We see Phantom Dennis, but also Gunn and Fred are meeting Phantom Dennis.
I think Phantom Dennis was expecting the birthday girl.
Oh, hi there. I know we haven't been formally introduced. Actually, I'm not sure how to introduce myself to someone who's, former. But I'm Fred. It's nice to meet you.
I don't think we've talked about Amy Acker as Fred at all yet. Yeah. I love Amy Acker, and Fred is basically tailor-made to be like a character that you will love. It's like, written to just be like, hey audience, isn't she just the sweetest girl ever? Like
my note here is, Fred's accent, ? Like I do remember this as a constant sort of Fredism is that she has sort of a hard to place accent. It's a little Southern. It's a little Appalachian. It's a little lot of things.
To be fair, she was in a demon dimension for 5 years, so that probably can mess with your accent.
That's true.
That's what I go with, But yeah, it's definitely like Southern-y, Appalachian-y.
Yeah.
I think meant to be a little bit nondescript.
But it's endearing.
Yeah, and is meant to make her stand out from like the everyone else who's like LA based, like cool, regular whatever accent, and she's like Southern gal who's completely out of place here. Like I think it works,
And Fred also has a PhD in everything, which I do love. We go to that well a couple times, but she's medicine, physics, she's everything.
Yeah.
And I love her character because I was told to love her, and I was buying what they were selling that day.
It works. It's like you can't fight it. She's sweet. Amy Acker's great.
Oh, she's great.
Also, they can kill her tragically and then make everybody sad about it. Spoilers. This show is I guess a little fucked up sometimes.
Yeah.
We cut back to the Hyperion again, where Wesley is researching what's going on. He's reading like a book that has passages about astral projection. We see that very visibly on screen. Cordelia sees it as well, so she's going to learn about astral projection. My note about this, though, that I find very funny is that Wesley's reading and Cordelia's looking over his shoulder, and she's like, "Wait, don't turn the page yet. I'm reading. I've got to read up and learn about astral projection." And then we learned later on in the episode that she did learn about astral projection. However, when you see the page of this book, you see the words astral projection. Everything else around it is totally in Latin. 100% not a language that Cordelia can read. I believe Wesley can read it. I don't think Cordelia ever learned Latin, so I'm not exactly sure how she's able to read and process this information, but somehow she does.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I will also say later we're reading about astral projection, and later she possesses. So maybe the next page was all in English and about possession. Maybe that's what happened.
Or he opens another book off screen or something in English, maybe. Or maybe he starts talking to himself out loud and she hears it and we just don't see it. It's fine.
Like
this episode isn't like 100% perfect. There's a few little nitpicks that I have. That's one of them, but it is so minor, like it literally doesn't matter. It's just really funny.
No, I like your headcanon. I like Wesley slamming the book shut and being like, "Ugh, this is so outdated about astral projection. I know that actually astral projection is blah 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 blah
Right.
blah blah." That would be cute. I like that. Let's run with that.
Yeah.
Well, we cut back to Cordelia's apartment, and Fred says it looks like everything's normal, but maybe Dennis is protecting Cordelia. Gunn suggests that maybe Dennis wants Cordelia to join him as a ghost, and that works. It's enough to guilt Dennis into revealing Cordelia's stash. The problem that she's having is significant, and it's been going on for more than a year.
Yes. Hate the weird underwear thing. Don't like it. It's awkward.
Really weird. Do they remind me? Because I could not remember, and I didn't go any further. I went backwards in time. Did they get a will they won't they thing? Is there a will they won't they with them?
Are you? Yes, there's a whole love triangle. Okay, no, it gets better though because I like Gunn and Fred together. They do a love triangle thing between Wesley, Fred, and Gunn.
Right.
And Wesley and Fred, I don't like. I understand it, but I never really liked it. No. Fred and Gunn, I think they built it really well, and it does make sense after a while, them together. I don't like this aspect of it because it's like, I think that early on they really struggled with like, how do you write Fred, who's like a genius, but also very like naive and kind of mousy and everything because of her experiences with these like men, and like writing it in such a way where they're just not constantly condescending to her all the time. Like recognizing like, I think you're sweet and cute, in a way that isn't just like, because you're like a little girl, like, like that's when it gets creepy. And this is one of those cases where it's just sort of like I feel like
weird. It was weird.
And I feel like Gunn is a smart enough character, like socially aware enough that he would recognize how awkward it is to just walk up to her holding Cordelia's bra and just like bring up underwear around Fred, who like obviously is like self-conscious about everything. Like he wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense. And that felt very much just like, I know that like Mayor Smith is a woman who wrote this, but it feels like something probably from one of the men in the writer's room pitched, or rewrote.
Didn't work. Didn't work, and I think you could have cut it and put those 5 seconds at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that is also a thing where it's sort of like, I can tell that I guess Richards is gay because the casualness that he's holding that bra and like doesn't seem weird. He's just like I don't give a shit about
I don't care.
A piece of clothing. Who cares? Like, there's not an ounce of like straight man interest or a weirdness about holding a bra at all coming through.
Wow. Well, we then jump back to the Hyperion. We're up in one of the rooms. I will say that having watched enough of these, all the rooms do sort of just kind of look the same, but that's all right.
It's a hotel, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hotel. I guess they should look the same. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that we're to understand that Fred and Gunn have come back with news of what they discovered at the apartment.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because Angel's talking like they have. He's sitting with Cordelia while Cordelia watches the scene unfold.
You really pissed me off, you know that? I thought we trusted each other, but you've been lying. MRIs and CAT scans, it's been going on for over a year. Why couldn't you let me in? I could have helped you. God, you make me so furious.
You're furious? I get body jacked on my birthday, and you're the one that's furious?
Angel is pissed. He says that he's very mad. He actually uses the word pissed, which was a little weird to have come out of Angel's mouth because she's been hiding her condition, and he thought that they had built up more trust. And this is where I picked up on, for this episode, a little of their relationship and dynamic and how deep it had gotten over season 3.
Mm-hmm.
We get Lorne coming in. He's going to try to communicate with Cordelia. And we think for a second that it's working because Cordelia is sort of responding. And it's one of those, like, I don't know, answering machines where someone goes, hello, hello. And so we're doing that in the script.
Cordelia?
Yes! 171 Oak Street. Can you hear me, Lauren?
What? Cordelia's not in there. She's just gone.
I'm standing right in front of you. Listen, I'm afraid.
And Cordelia uses this opportunity to say, you have got to go to 170 Oak Street. She is on a mission to save this woman. But it turns out Lorne cannot connect. And we get these whispers again, and Cordelia starts getting scared. The scene ends with Angel intimidating Lorne to go contact the powers that be.
Yes. I really like Charisma's acting when she is getting terrified of the whispers, because it's because she's been very steely about this whole situation, she's been through mystical shit, but that's the first time where it's just sort of listen, I'm afraid, because they do kind of bring her to a point where it's she literally can't do anything right now, and that is something really, really scary, especially when you're hearing creepy demon whispers in the ether.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next scene, and I meant to bring this up or put a note in the notes for this, but I like that Angel stylistically does this thing where sometimes they'll repeat sets, but they do a cut. And in between the cut, they'll add these flashes. Either they're part of the images that have been seen in whatever the week vision was, or just random flashes of LA. I think it's really, really nice. And it tells you that time has gone by. It tells you that the story is progressing. It's a nice way. And I remember it being used very specifically here in this cut.
It definitely gives it, I think it harkened back to when they were trying to make it more at the start of the series, when they were trying to make it more of a noir, detective show. Cause that is something you would see on some cop shows or some.
Yeah. It's very CSI. Yeah.
Yeah. Grittier shows like that. And so it's kind of a relic from that, but I think it still works because again, it differentiates it from Buffy, which doesn't do anything like that, but also it's sort of it is, I don't know. There's something, I don't know why it's more of an adult feel, maybe just because
it's mature.
It's so part of the cop procedural genre, you know? But it definitely gives it that feel a little bit.
It is so mature. You are right. But we do deploy it and we're back in that Hyperion room. Angel is asleep. Vampires sleep. I guess I didn't really clock this. Okay, great.
Yeah, he's asleep. They play it fast and loose, but vampires sleep and eat and stuff. It's just they also need blood. Great.
And Cordelia uses this as an opportunity to possess him and takes this brief moment that she's got access to a marker to write down the location of where this young woman is before something spooky knocks her out of Angel's body and Angel collapses to the floor.
Yeah.
It's at this moment that Wesley comes in and reveals that he's got bad news. Cordelia is dying. Cordelia hears the whispers again, and a shadow manifests into an imposing creature who says,
"Hey, how's it going?"
Yes. If you have been watching the show, this demon has appeared before. Cordelia's never met him. He was earlier. Was he earlier this season? I'm forgetting if he was this season or the first or the second season. I think it was earlier this season because he's the demon that's protecting the dude in the flame cage who then goes on to be Billy, the misogynistic guy.
Yeah, with the
That's
shoe
how
thing.
the
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And he was specifically brought back because fans like loved him, and I think on set they loved him a lot too. Just the idea that it was sort of like, I think for the humor of like this giant menacing looking demon who's just like, hey, what's up? Like, I think I was watching just one of the featurettes from the season 3 DVD, and I think they were talking about that episode when they conceived of that character, and it was like, I do not remember which writer it was, but the writer who thought of it was like, had been visiting like a prison for some reason and like was talking to prison security guards, and it was like these big men, like these big muscular men who were like handling like, you know, rowdy prisoners, and you talk to them, it was like, oh yeah, I just, you know, went to the street and got a sandwich. Like they're just like super chill, and the sort of dichotomy of like big dudes who are like, you know, who are specifically like their whole job is to look menacing and intimidating, but are like just the chillest guys ever and like totally normal people, and like making like the demon version of that. And that there is something very like funny and endearing about that, you know?
Yeah.
And so they bring him back for this one just because he was just fun.
He does almost have a Clem-like vibe from Buffy, where it's demon, but actually like demon that you'd like want to get a beer with. But Skip, who we'll later learn his name is Skip, is still more imposing and intimidating and like daddy than like Clem was.
Oh, for sure. And he's played by David Denman, who is someone that I like anyway. He's I think most famous like as Roy from The Office, but like he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's Jason's dad in the 2017 Power Rangers movie, like literally dad and daddy in that movie. But very hot and attractive man. And I remember learning that he was Skip and being like, oh my God.
Well, and that's what's wild, because I put in the notes, I was shocked because to me, Skip has everything I need. He's big, he's goofy, he's got weird skull-like things. He's just doing it all. But for some reason, it wasn't clicking for me. And so Derek put a picture of David Denman in the notes, and listeners, like, yes, David Denman is a yes. It just wasn't there for me for Skip for some reason.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
I have an uncle Skip. I wonder if this is like a Freudian thing.
Could be. Yeah. That could make it a little weird for sure. But speaking of Skip, you know, he introduces himself to Cordelia. He's a demon, and this is when we get sort of the other, the sort of second major It's a Wonderful Life parallel, because It's a Wonderful Life, obviously he has an angel guiding him. In this one, Cordelia has a demon guiding her, right? So like a friendly, affable demon at that. It's like the parallels make a lot of sense. He tells Cordelia to come with him because she doesn't belong there anymore.
Most people go astral. Their spiritual shapes tend to be an idealized version of themselves. You know, straighten the nose, lose the gray. Sort of a self-esteem kind of thing. You're pretty confident, aren't you?
What is this? Who are you? What the hell is going on?
You got questions? I get that. And I'll answer them too, but first, we gotta get out of here.
But why? Here's good. I feel really comfortable here. I like here.
But you see, there's a slight problem. You don't belong here anymore.
Because I'm dead?
Not yet. But you will be very soon.
They try to play it up sounding like, you know, you don't belong in the mortal plane because you're going to die kind of thing. We'll learn exactly what he means shortly. But what I really like about it, we brought it up multiple times, but throughout all of this, it never stops that Cordelia's only concern is saving the girl. If I leave here, then I lose any chance of communicating who this girl is that needs saving. And Skip's like, you can't help either way right now. So we've got to go no matter what you do.
Yeah. There is this nice bit from Skip where he says, wow, when people go astral, they're usually this idealized version of themselves. And then he looks at the Cordelia on the bed and the Cordelia that's in the astral plane. And is like, wow, you got a lot of confidence, don't you?
I love that so much.
She does. She's Cordelia fucking Chase.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, yeah, that's the thing it's hard to like express like what makes Cordy such a great character, and I think that's a big part of it. It's just like she is someone who grows into such a good, empathetic, like empathetic person who is so caring and has such a huge heart and yet never like loses her sense of self in spite of that. Like, I think that that's like the trope is always like the self-sacrificing person. And like to an extent Cordelia is, and that she has been hiding these migraines. Right. But like being self-sacrificing doesn't mean that like you don't also accept the fact that you are fucking smoking hot and really smart and just the best at everything. Like, like she never loses that. And I love that so much.
Yeah, it's great. Well, we go to a different part of the Hyperion where Fred is explaining Cordelia's condition. She has suffered brain damage from the visions, and I'll just say the show took a long time to tell you that story. And this is one of my criticisms: is we could have edited this one out a little bit more.
I 100% agree.
Oh yeah, and we're looking at images of brain stuff. It's to remind you also that Fred's really smart. But I remembered that, and I hadn't seen the series in a long time. So Fred's really smart. I'm there.
Yeah.
Lorne returns and he is incredibly beat up to the point that one of his horns is hanging off. Oh, that looked... I knew that it was makeup and it still looked awful to me.
Yeah, it looked painful.
But he's unable to say certain words because of a hex that was put on him. He wrote down all the important information for Angel. Angel takes it and he is out of there.
Yeah. So we cut to just this nondescript mall. It's basically a mall construct.
This is a mall.
We just figured you'd be more comfortable here.
We,
The powers that be.
the powers that be, popped me out of my body and sent me to a mall.
Actually, this is more of a construct of a mall. You know, like in The Matrix.
You've seen The Matrix.
Oh, love that flick. When Trinity's all dodge this and the agent goes crumples to the... And I'm not really instilling any awe anymore, am I?
Skip even says like, it's like in The Matrix. It's like a construct of a mall. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess this episode did come out in what, 2002?
Yeah, that would have worked for me live. It did not work for me today.
Yeah, I think I don't know, even in 2002 though, like that movie's been out for a few years at that point. I guess the sequels are coming out. So I guess it's still relevant in that way. It still is just sort of like, okay, like I think the movie references that Skip makes, I think the comedy of it is that I can't believe a demon is seeing these modern movies. Fair. I think that's what the comedy is from. It is, I think the problem with the Matrix thing and even the Gladiator thing reference that he makes later is that it's kind of giving I think screenwriter who's a little too pleased with himself by just being like, the kids are going to get these references. And you know what? I know that everyone loved the Gladiator, but I didn't like the Gladiator. Right. So now my demon's going to say that he didn't like the Gladiator. I'm like, I don't care. Like, whatever, man. Like make a really obscure reference to that is really funny or make the most pop culture like obvious thing ever. Like Matrix falls in that weird middle category because it's like a genre movie that was like very popular with like nerds on the internet as much as it was a hit. Like that feels in a weird space. He could reference like Terms of Endearment or something like that and it would be funnier, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you'd like on all rom-coms or something, if you had done like really, really goofy, deep character moment and not just box office greats. I don't feel like I'm ever going to be able to ask you this question on the pod ever again.
Okay.
What was your Matrix experience? Did you go see that in theaters, Derek, or were you a little too young?
I don't think I didn't see it in theaters. I would have though. I don't know why I didn't. Yeah. I think it was more like myself and my family got on the Matrix hype because of everyone talking about it, having seen it in theaters. I don't think I saw it for the first time until we got it on tape or it was on TV or something, but loved it immediately though. Like I was 100% on board with that from then. I wish I had seen it in the theater because it would have been a really cool experience.
We snuck into a drive-in and listened to it on a handheld radio. It was not an ideal way to take in the mythology of the Matrix, but it was a fine way to watch the Matrix.
That's really funny.
Yeah, we left being like, I don't know what this was about.
That's really, really funny.
Yeah. Oh well. But we do get it there. It's fine. It's fine that it's there. He has these references, they work, but he's this sort of like giving us the story of why Cordelia's got all this going on, right?
Yeah. So like the idea is that, and if you're unfamiliar with the show, basically like midway through season 1, it was all kind of accidental in like the real world. Cause it was like, they have this setup of this, like of Angel, Cordelia, and this character Doyle who has visions, and Cordelia is kind of the comic relief. And then Angel's the hero, and that's their setup. And then a lot of behind the scenes stuff happened with Glenn Quinn, and he had to leave the show / maybe was fired. Either way, they they end up having to give Cordelia the visions to carry that story along.
Yeah.
But it ends up being like kind of a happy accident, because then that gives so much power to like Cordelia's story. And then she changes drastically over the course of the series, learning empathy because she's exposed to these visions of people in pain across the city and like literally experiencing their pain, and then learning to understand, you know, truly getting like the most distilled version of empathy by actually feeling other people's pain. Right. So it makes sense. And that's really been like the core of her story throughout the last couple of seasons of the show. Skip explains though that like, sorry, not only was that a happy accident behind the scenes, that was also a happy accident in the universe of the show.
That's what happened. Big cosmic whoops. Doyle was never meant to give you those visions.
Then why did the powers let him?
Well, they're usually pretty good at catching that sort of thing. What they didn't count on were his feelings for you.
You mean Doyle gave me the visions because he loved me?
I can't answer that. What I can tell you is that it was a mistake.
But I thought the powers that be knew everything.
Life and death, that sort of thing, they got a handle on. If someone chooses to love, well, that's just good old free will. You see, Cordelia, the visions are an ancient, powerful force. Demons are the only ones who can withstand them.
But I've had them for more than 2 years now. Doesn't that mean I'm strong?
Strong, yes. Demon, no.
He was never meant to pass those visions on. Like the power that be like normally would stop that kind of shit. And the only reason that he didn't is because they aren't able to account for like feelings that other people have. The idea of love is like pure free will. People falling in love with people is only a free will thing that the powers that be, that are sort of like, you know, the vague gods of the universe and all that is good, supposedly, like they can't account for that. So if Doyle is in love with Cordelia and like sees her in a way that he wouldn't otherwise, and really feels that she could be right for these visions, kisses her and passes those visions along, they didn't fucking predict that was ever going to happen. And so the visions are killing her because they were only ever meant to be had by someone who's at least partially a demon, which she is not. Ergo, the many, many scenes of migraines and pills over the last few seasons.
And to really underscore that, Skip brings in Tammy, who is the last human to have these visions. And they literally blew out the back of her head. In fact, a great, like, maybe half-second gag of seeing it. It's good makeup. I wish we had lingered on it just a little longer because it was really beautiful gore.
It's a surprising like kind of horror movie moment kind of thing. Like it reminds me a lot of like Sixth Sense type scares where it's like, it's not like a jump scare. It's like you almost are not expecting to see something that visceral, because they even do the sort of misdirect, because it's sort of like they cut as she turns around. So you're seeing Cordelia react to seeing this horror show and are assuming like, oh, they're just cutting that. And we just assume that she's seeing something bad. Yeah. She turns around and then you see it for yourself. And it's like a full makeup effect. It's really well done.
Referencing the success is exactly what the vibe was. And I can't believe I didn't clock that, because it is like, it's not there to scare you, but it does scare you.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's okay. That's why it's okay. Yeah. I want everyone to know being scared is not okay, but in this moment it was. This is okay.
Yeah. Then we cut to this is the stuff that's my least favorite part of the episode. I get why it's there in terms of the construction of the story that they're telling, but I kind of wish that they had just been able to go about this a little bit of a different way, because it leads to something kind of hacky that I'll complain about. But this one scene, Angel's basically at this domain of the powers that be. This is where Lorne led him to. He's trying to speak to the conduit of the powers that be, blah, 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 lore bullshit that I don't care about. Either way, he's like pleading to them to save Cordelia and gets thrown around by some unseen force. Who cares? Whatever. This is really only there to set up a scene that I honestly don't like as a mechanic to get Cordelia into the alternate universe. And I'm like, y'all are smarter than this. We're not there yet, but we will get there very shortly.
I just want to note that we've used this set for other television shows. You saw this in Charmed. Cole was definitely pacing around this brassiere, this flaming, is it brassiere? That's not right. That's a bra.
No.
Brazier? Is that?
Brazier? I know the word, but I guess I've never said it out loud.
Torch holder thing.
Yeah.
I know this set. I know this set in all of its lighting. We're getting our money's worth.
I think we've seen it in Angel like 5 times by this point, probably, like,
Okay. Well, we go back to the mall, and Skip tells Cordelia, by way of a very unnecessary and complicated football metaphor.
I think it's hilarious. I love
do you like that?
I think it is so funny because it's not just, it's because he literally, like, they actually put on screen scenes from the episode where she gets Doyle's visions, and then scenes from the very first episode of Cordelia, like, walking through a party, and then, you know, by sheer chance meeting, like, running into Angel. And so he actually has a screen showing that they're watching, and then does the football thing where they actually, like, draw on the screen, draw the X's and the arrows and the circles. Like, so it is like, you know, what the football players are doing, like the plays and everything. I'm sure I'm describing it in a beautiful way is how you would describe talking about football. And Cordelia even calls it out. She's like, so I'm just going to score a touchdown?
Now, what if the play ran a little different? You're on the sideline over here, talking to a couple wannabe moguls. Angel is downfield here. Instead of cutting to the middle to meet Angel, what if you've been forced to counter? What if this guy, who happens to be a very powerful talent agent, flanks you and drew you off sides? What would happen then?
I'd, score a touchdown?
Metaphorically speaking, heck yeah.
But, like, it's all there in service of just being like, if you had made one turn, like if you had met a casting agent instead of Angel at this very same party, that would have set you on a vastly different path in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't mean to complain about it. I just thought, you know, it was a little much. We were doing a lot. But you're right. It was cute and funny. I did laugh.
Yeah. I mean, it also, like, that's the kind of stuff that I actually kind of wish there maybe was a little bit more of that weirdness in this episode. Like, if they're going to have a This Is Your Life sort of thing. Like, one thing that I do think that this is missing is, like, you know, in It's a Wonderful Life, there's a very long segment of, like, past stuff in George Bailey's life, of like, you know, how he ended up where he was. So then we see the effects of those things being changed when you see Alternate Universe. And I guess they feel like they don't really need that because we have literally seen Cordelia on the television series Angel already, but it still would be kind of fun to at least just get, like, a little tiny mini clip show of them commenting on, like, this is who you were, with clips from Buffy, which maybe they were told by the network to not show clips from Buffy, maybe. You know, that maybe that's part of it. Because it feels very truncated that you literally just see clips from 2 episodes from season 1, and that's it, you know?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Like, it felt like something was missing in that if they were going to be talking about the path that Cordelia was previously on. And I really do think if they were allowed to, they would have shown at least a couple of clips from Buffy just to really hammer in how different she used to be versus versus what she's like now.
Yep. All right, well, let's get to Derek's favorite scene where,
Jesus Christ.
Because when Cordelia resists this, Skip takes her away, and we go back to the brazier lit domain of the powers that be. And Skip purposefully shows Cordelia an out of context scene of Angel begging for Cordelia's life, saying all the things that are easy to misinterpret about her being weak and frail and fragile and needing to be protected.
Cordelia's not a champion. She's a rich girl from Sunnydale who likes to play superhero. She doesn't have what it takes to do this. Don't the powers get that? Stop whispering and listen to me, damn it! She's weak.
Skip, get me out of here now.
You're killing her. She's unconscious, and she's alone. Who knows if she's in pain?
It is angry. It is afraid.
I'm more afraid of her dying than she is.
Yeah, it fucking sucks because it's so hacky. And the thing is, like, it is this tropey thing that, like, TV and movies both have done, mostly TV, where it's like a character just happens to only hear a specific segment of what people are saying and then leave before the character then turns and it's like, but all of that's what I would say if I was a mean person, but I'm actually not. Like, it's exactly just that.
What happens.
And it's just that, and it really is just that these writers are smarter than that. Buffy does it a couple of times too. There was like at least 2 episodes where Dawn overhears Buffy saying something mean about her and then runs off. off. Like it's a thing that TV does. It's just that I think that these writers are smarter than that. And I feel like there's probably a better way to bring Cordelia to the decision that she makes. I think that they felt really constrained by like, we want to present Cordelia as such a confident person and so committed to these visions. How do we get her to decide to go to this alternate universe? And like, I think that they just weren't sure exactly what to do. And the only rationale that I can make that makes me feel better, but not that much better, is that like, if this is meant to be Skip trying to push Cordelia to make this decision, it could be he intentionally brought her in at that exact moment to hear that. Yeah. But the problem is that Cordelia is the one who's then like, let's get out of here, Skip, not Skip. Yeah. If Skip had been the one that had been like, okay, let's go, like I could have bought that as a manipulation tactic. Right. But Cordelia is the one who leaves right before Angel then says all the nice things about Cordelia. And it's sort of like, she's weak because I love her so much, like, it's really annoying.
I might have bought season 1, episode 1 of Buffy Cordelia, What is Your Childhood Trauma, buying this shtick. Yeah. But I do not buy Angel season 3 Cordelia buying this shtick. Yeah. She's too smart now.
I think she'd just be mad at Angel for being like, I'm not, but he's fucking lying. I'm strong. Like, because basically they end up pinning it on the reason that she decides to abandon this entire reality and choose to be an actress is because Angel thinks she's weak. And I'm like, I get that she'd be mad at him, but you wouldn't abandon like your calling in life. Yeah. Because he said that,
I'll go one further. I think she'd be pissed at Skip. I think she'd be like, this is bullshit. You're showing me bullshit. This isn't even real. You can make a mall happen. You can make my friend saying some bullshit stuff happen. Yeah. I don't buy it. Take me home.
Yeah. It's frustrating because like the stuff preceding this, I think is really, really good because there's a lot of stuff that Skip says that I think really speaks to like real life, right? Where it's sort of like, you ever have that just this inkling that you just, that there's something deep down that you should have been doing differently. Like that, we all kind of know what our purpose is in the world. And that's where a lot of our misery comes from, is just sort of like, I feel like what I'm doing now is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I just don't know exactly what it is I am supposed to be doing. Right. Or the question of like, should I have done this instead of what I'm doing now? Right.
Exactly.
Like, that is a thing we constantly deal with. Like, should I have taken that job? Like, should I have like moved to that place? Should I not have done those things? Like, it's the easy thing, and I think it really speaks to that, like tugging at Cordelia her entire life, that like I feel like I still could have been an actress, and even with all the demon stuff though, right? Yeah. But I just feel like they just don't go down that path of really pursuing that aspect of it. It's like, you state that she feels deep down that maybe she would have succeeded as an actor, but that's not why she makes the decision to be an actor,
Exactly. Yeah. I just think we could have played with motivation a lot more here to get a better end.
Yeah, for sure.
But it doesn't matter because this is a 20-year-old episode of television. So Cordelia does make the choice.
You gave me a choice, so I'm choosing.
Okay, kid. Here goes. I'm going to make you a star.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the two-time Emmy-winning star of our show, the gal with the $1 million smile, Cordelia Chase.
And then we transition a cute little camera swing here where we are on the set of a sitcom. The lights are on Cordelia, and we are teased into what comes next before going to commercial.
The transition, I think, is really, really cool because it doesn't look like there's a cut. So it's just, you get a zoom in on Cordelia's face. You do see her still wearing her hoodie, and then the camera turns like almost a 360 degrees, and then spotlight comes on her face and then pans out, and suddenly she's wearing a completely different outfit, which leads, I think that it was probably practical that they, when the camera was zoomed in, they took her hoodie off. Cause I can't see where
I tried watching it. I couldn't find a cut on it. I just figured it was special effects, but
it could have been. Maybe they superimposed the hoodie on her because you only see the top of it. Maybe the cut is just so well done that you don't notice it. But I also could buy it just because this is not a high budget show. I could buy it being that
hoodie off, and because
all they would have needed to do is just unzip the hoodie and take it off without seeing her shoulders move, and if they're close enough on her face, you wouldn't necessarily see that. So I think that they could have done that.
I'd buy that as practical then, because I mean, I was just expecting a cut, and maybe I put it in there in my mind. We're so far off from Two Storms that I now expect cuts to be everywhere.
Yeah,
that's great. I actually love it practically. I'm gonna now say that it was practical, and I love it.
Yeah, I
that
think
dress
so.
though is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so good. And I mean, it's perfect too, because it fully transitioned into, it's clearly her on a set being cheered on by an audience. It's like, it's such a good like 1-2 punch of like who she was and you know who she wants to be in this alternate reality.
When we come back from the commercial, we have the opening credit sequence for Cordy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's a feeling that I'm after. Ooh, I see it in your smile. Baby, really hanging from the rafters. Ooh, baby, stay a while. Ooh, baby, stay a while. This whole world's full of laughter. You got my heart a little wild. Baby, really hanging from the rafters. Ooh, baby, stay a while. Ooh, baby, stay a while. Ooh, baby, stay a while.
Derek, talk us through what's going on here.
Oh my God. So it's your most typical, like, it is particularly a the 2000s WB sitcom, I feel like, cause it's just, I mean, there's a few things about it that I think are really funny and subtly done. You have like this theme song. It's sung by Marty Noxon and David Greenwalt. We mentioned David Greenwalt is like one of the creators and showrunners. Marty Noxon is like one of the showrunners on Buffy. So like, it makes sense that they're doing this. I think Marty Noxon is also like, is her friend in that opening credits for one of the scenes too, which is kind of fun. And we get like the purple, like scrawly text font that I feel like you saw a lot in the 2000s of just like these just generic white people sounding names. Gregory Dunn, Elliot Sims, Carol Wright. I don't think that they're references to anything.
Derek, I was doing a job for you. Right up until recording. I looked up these people's names. I tried to see if they were production assistants. I got nothing. I truly think this was like baby book writing. I think it might have been picked out of the ether.
The other one too that's so weird is that it was created by Flamont and Mendoza.
I didn't get that in the notes.
Do you? I do not know what that is.
I looked that up too. Flamont with the PHL is a demon.
Oh shit! Okay,
but not a demon in the Buffyverse, but is one of the demons of hell. It was in Dante's Inferno, maybe. I don't remember where I looked this up. Biblical demon.
I'm okay with that. Then that actually, I think the joke then is that it's created by a clear demon name, and then probably another demon that it's just funny that the demon's name will be Mendoza. I think is all the joke is.
Okay.
It's maybe a little bit too subtle then if that's what the joke is, because that took a lot of work to get to that point. Or the joke is that, isn't it funny that a show would be created by Flamont and Mendoza? Isn't that weird names? I don't know.
As you also might guess, Googling Mendoza yielded nothing of substance.
Right. I mean, how could it? It's Mendoza. I just think of The Simpsons, you know.
I mean, I did get a Simpsons Mendoza pulled up.
Yeah, I mean, like, the other thing, too, that I think is really funny is that you get all these names, and the opening sequence is mostly just Cordelia doing like funny gags and tripping and dancing around in a field. And like, there are other characters that I think are supposed to line up with these names, but you never see their full face, either in profile or Cordelia jumps in front of them. It's like, it is all about Cordelia. She is truly the center of the show. Even her supporting cast doesn't even get like properly seen in the opening credits. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And none of them are women. And you did pull in for our notes, and I hope we get to talk about it. They did record 4 minutes of this sitcom to either pull the scenes from for this opening sequence or whatever. And she's got like a BFF that's part of this, but we never see her in the opening credits.
No. And the thing is like here. Okay. So the reason that it was cut, Tim Minear, one of the writers on the show said he said, when you look at Charisma Carpenter, she does bear a resemblance to Mary Tyler Moore, and she's so funny. And actually, if you watch the opening credits, one of her outfits is like she's wearing purple. She's wearing a very Mary Tyler Moore hat that she like takes off, and I don't think she throws it, but like
she like hits somebody in the face with it. Yeah,
she hits someone in the face with it. Yeah, so it's definitely like they're playing on the Mary Tyler Moore of it, and I see it. Like I definitely see the resemblance to Mary Tyler Moore that she has and the sort of energy that she has. He says, I kind of hate how he worded this, but he says, we all sort of had this fetish fantasy of seeing her on a brightly lit sitcom stage with people laughing at her jokes. Please don't call that a fetish fantasy,
didn't
Tim
like that.
Minear, at
I didn't
Charisma
like that.
Carpenter's expense. I don't think he meant anything weird by it,
No.
but it is a weird way to phrase that, I will say.
Yeah.
Mayor Smith, the writer, said that the scene, like, they just didn't think it was quite as funny as they wanted it to be, so that's why they ended up cutting it. I think that they should have kept it in, though, because it's not funny, but that's what makes it funny, because it is just a bad 2000s WB sitcom.
Yes.
Oh, you in this dress at the Buyers Ball tonight. It's gonna put your label on the map. Your name's gonna be in lights.
But I don't want it in lights. I want it sewn into that little tag that makes the back of your neck itch.
It's happy dance time. We're doing the happy dance, happy dance, happy dance, doing the happy dance, doing the
Sweetie, can't cry during the happy dance. It's against the law.
It's just, I miss Bobby. I wish he was taking me to the stupid buyers thing tonight.
Aw, he'll come around. It was just a little misunderstanding.
He found me in a hot tub.
Well, get tripped. It could happen to anyone.
With 6 male models.
It could almost happen to anyone.
Everybody was naked.
Okay, that could only happen to you.
It works because it's bad. Like, that it's not funny makes it funnier. Like, it's so good. I think it's so well realized.
Yeah, like you can watch it on the DVD, and we found it on YouTube as well if you don't have the DVD set. Like, it's just, the jokes are really shitty. Like, Cordy's character in this is apparently awful because, like, she's joking, like, about, like, not wanting to let her boyfriend know that she, like, had an affair with, like, 6 other guys in a hot tub. Like, it's fucking horrendously bad, but that's what makes it so funny because it's, like, that Cordy would be, like, a 2-time Emmy-winning famous actress on a show that everyone loves, and you see the show, and it is the shittiest sitcom you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it or you don't intend to watch it, it feels like a 30 Rock bit. It feels like that level of bad show. It's too bad that you laugh at how bad it is.
Yeah, it really surprised me that they cut it out. Like, I really don't understand because I feel like it's like it fits in exactly with like the Buffyverse style of sense of humor of just like commenting on like shitty pop culture comparatively, you know?
Oh, I think we already found the 4 minutes though, Derek. I think you cut the bra thing, you cut Wes reading, you cut the stupid brassiere, the other brassiere, the brazier. You cut all that, you got 4 minutes. We'd be good to go.
Yeah. It's such a bummer. But instead, we just get the opening credits, and it just cuts to Cordelia backstage, you know, which still some fun stuff. It's just like, I would have the alternate universe is already so short that it would have given us an opportunity to live in it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are backstage of Cordy, and Cordelia seems right at home. She's talking to her assistant, Nev, who's following her around and getting everything she needs. We get some great bits with her and Nev. I do think missed opportunity to not have Sam Pancake come back because he was her agent in season 1, and I love Sam Pancake.
That would have been really fun.
And I think he would have also done a great job. Patrick Breen is fantastic.
Nev, do you ever get that nagging feeling that you're supposed to be somewhere doing something, but you can't remember what?
No, I'm highly organized. That's why you pay me pretty well. But with the holidays coming, I
I
really...
have to go. I'm sorry. I have to go. I want something. Hypo something? Hypothermia?
Josh, let's get a large tub of ice water in Miss Chase's dressing room pronto.
No, that's not it.
Canceling ice water.
Hyperbaric?
Josh, make it an oxygen tent.
No, that's not it either.
Canceling tent.
Hyperion, that's it.
The hotel.
Yes, I want to go there.
Terrific. When would you like me? Now you would like to? Without security? Without an entourage of me? Right, I'll give them a call. Josh, car, side door, now.
They have this great bit about she's trying to remember the Hyperion. She goes, hypothermia. He asks for a bucket of cold ice water for her to go into. She says, no, maybe hypobaric. And he's like, bring an oxygen tent. Like, I didn't even know what hypobaric was.
That's so funny. Yeah. I like to, like, I think that Charisma Carpenter is a really interesting actress because she's one of those who, like, I don't know that she's not one of those actresses who has like this hugely wide range. Like, I wouldn't want her to play anything, but the things that she plays well, she plays really, really well.
Yes.
And the characters that she inhabits, I think that she often brings a lot of nuance that you don't necessarily even pick up on first watch. Like, and this version of Cordelia, like, it's subtle, but like she does carry herself differently when she's like superstar Cordelia. She's like Cordelia is always confident, but there's like a level of confidence where it's like she honestly seems like distracted by everything. She is like just care. She's just like not really a care, and her like almost like going through the motions with just sort of like getting autographs and just, but also while thinking about this whole other life at the exact same time, like totally distracted. But she even like enunciates her words more, I feel like, than she does when she's normal Cordelia. Like it's little subtle things that she does in this, in addition to like the fucking rad styled hair that she has as well.
She looks so good. She looks so good. But in the end, she remembers it was the Hyperion, and she orders her assistant to get her a room there.
Mm-hmm. She is escorted to her room, but once she's there, like, you know, obviously she's going to get a luxury suite or whatever, but she's like, no, I want this one. Like, it's almost like she's like
ethereal,
like a psychic or whatever. It's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, for a second we genre bombed into like the Medium, and she's Patricia Arquette. It's great.
Yeah, it's absolutely like Medium. She's definitely giving Medium.
No, this one. Yeah, it's great. I love it. But she's flawless, so like I bought it.
Yeah,
I bought it.
Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, and the reason that she's drawn to this other room is because it is the room that previously, like, Connor was in, that her body was in, that, like, all the, that the whole scene with her possessing Angel that we saw earlier, it's that exact room. And I think the other important part, I don't know if we like explicitly mentioned it, but one of the things that Skip talks about with the powers that be is that, like, this alternate reality thing isn't going back in time. Like, they went back in time like early in season 1, but he's like, they kind of write it off. Like, they don't go for that very often. This isn't a time travel rewriting history situation. It is literally writing over history. It's like putting wallpaper over the previous wallpaper. Like, literally is what happens in this episode, which I think is helpful and important for how they're writing it, because otherwise there's like no connection. But in this case, it's sort of like that previous history still exists. It's just sort of underneath the little things that the powers that be were putting over it, which, if you think too deeply about it, maybe it doesn't really make sense, but like it works for the mechanics of this episode, that like the stuff that existed still existed. It's just sort of like been sort of lightly covered up and changed slightly to make this reality work.
Which is why she's able to peel back the wallpaper and see 171 Oak written by her hand in this exact same room in a different reality.
Yes.
My note here, Hyperion running fully, which is fine.
It doesn't
I know
make
that we
sense
need it to be.
in the context of the show, but whatever. Like, it makes absolutely no sense given how the Hyperion was introduced, but we don't
have to linger on this, but as a set piece, the Hyperion rocks. I love the Hyperion.
It was such a smart move, because the first season they were just like in an office or whatever. And it's just sort of like, what if they have a giant building with a lot of rooms that you can have lots of chase sequences, horror sequences, fight sequences, plenty of space to just battle in the middle of the giant lobby, plenty of space for like creepy chases through the hallways upstairs, like so much cool shit that they're able to do with it over the next few seasons.
And it probably matters more to Hollywood types, but the Los Angeles Art Deco of it all is really spot on.
Oh yeah,
which I loved. But now that Cordelia has seen 171 Oak, we're gonna follow that vision. She's just gonna go. She feels compelled to go, and she arrives at 171 Oak, rings the doorbell, and is let in by Cynthia, who is a huge fan of hers.
I'm Cynthia, Cynthia York, and I love your show. Like, love. You are my idol, Cordy. I want to be just like you and have my own design firm and... Wait a second. What are you doing in Reseda?
Yeah, good question. This is gonna sound a little bizarre, but, is everything okay here? Nothing bad's happened, has it?
My dad left us a couple months ago.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Is your mom here?
She's up in Ojai visiting friends.
Oh. Wow, that's, well, okay then,
Hey, you want to see something cool?
Cynthia explains, again, long-witted, it's my mom, it's my dad, it's this whole thing. She's trying to get her dad back, so she has created a summoning spell, but she accidentally spilled soda on it.
Jesus Christ.
And it's too late. A demon has been summoned, and that takes us out to commercial. Man, soda getting spelled, Derek. I just don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's definitely a so weird connection there with the demons and soda being spilled. Yeah, it's the other thing that I sort of noticed that I didn't pick up on before, but on this last watch through, it is interesting that it's like if you really track like the end of season 3 Cordelia, if she truly just went directly from that into acting and became wealthy, like this Cordelia isn't really what that Cordelia would be, because this Cordelia is very compassionate. And like when she shows up at this girl's door, even though she's like mystically being drawn and doesn't really know why she's there, she's still like, when Cynthia's like, oh, my dad left, she's like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
And like, original flavor Cordelia wouldn't be like that. So like the sort of character development that she went through over the course of Angel, the TV show, is still coming through even with history rewritten, which I think speaks to the fact that this isn't like truly, it isn't true history being rewritten, but also that her like the change that she made in herself at her core is like so powerful that it still makes its way even through a new reality. She is still this more empathetic, compassionate version of Cordelia, even with a completely different backstory, because that change was so powerful, you know?
That's a great way of looking at it. I love that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's really fun. Oh.
Yeah. I also like, in addition to that like what this alternate reality doesn't do, I think if a worse show would have dwelled on her acting career and been like, I'm actually not happy acting, and then deciding to change because of that. In this case, it's sort of like, no, she fucking loves being an actor. She's a wealthy, powerful actress. It's great. It's just that the other side of having visions is just more important than that, is all it is.
Right.
You know?
And I also think a worse read of this would have been going back to too much original recipe Cordelia.
I agree.
I think that if you were being like, don't you have an elsewhere to be, that we would have been bumping, because there's been so much growth of this character that we've seen on Angel, and you need to see that represented. And so I love your read on this, which is that, yeah, we tried to put a new coat of paint on this, but she's changed to her core.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
We come back from commercial, and Cordelia is fighting the demon, but she's no match for it. After all, it has no eyes and 3 mouths, and it is just winning the day. But Wesley and Gunn break into the room. Wesley's missing an arm, and they slay the demon. Wesley recognizes Cordelia and she him, but the last time they saw each other in this reality was after the fight with the mayor in season 3 of Buffy.
Oh, sorry. This is my partner, Charles Gunn.
Man, Wes told me he knew you, but I didn't believe him.
Yeah, we go way back. Back to when you had 2 arms, which, by the way...
Congai demon a couple of years ago.
Hey, is it true that you and Wes were, that you had a little...
humiliating kiss where he drooled all over my chin? Yeah. But I've worked really hard to repress it.
Right. Well, as much as I'm enjoying this forced death march down memory lane...
Hey, what is it with you Sunnydale folks and repression? I mean, you 3 are the most denyingest folks I ever met.
3? Who else is here in LA?
I think also notable, they never mentioned Fred, which makes sense, but like... without Cordelia, they never would have went to that alternate universe and rescued Fred, because Cordelia is the whole reason that they went to Pylea in that season. So, like, I think it's subtle. I think because like they could have made a thing out of it, like who's Fred or whatever. But like the fact that I think it's like you just have to clock like, oh, there's a person that's on the team that we like that is just not here and no one even knows they exist.
Never got saved. Got saved.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. That's actually really good. I will say that Wesley reveals that he lost his arm fighting a Kungai demon, which was the demon he followed to Los Angeles in his introduction episode in season 1.
I like that a lot. Very, very clever bit of continuity.
Yeah. And even though they're having this sort of back and forth of where they're going, Cordelia says that something weird's going on to her, like Sunnydale weird, which it doesn't work for us as Angel. I mean, it works for us as Angel viewers. We know what Sunnydale is. But in this reality, that would be the language that this Cordelia would have to talk about the supernatural.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Oh, no, I do too. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just recognizing like, oh, she really has truly been out away from this world since her time on Buffy.
Yeah.
So Cordelia tells Wesley and Gunn how she came to Cynthia's house because something Sunnydale weird's going on with her, which is that she just feels compelled to go to a house, and there happened to be a demon there, and she doesn't really know why. And Cordelia makes a funny reference to that terrible kiss that we referenced earlier, which I'm sure embarrasses Wesley, and he's like, I don't really like this forced death march down memory lane. That's such a funny line.
Great line. I will say Wesley in this reality is dark, D-A-R-K. And I know that Wesley deals with this character in Angel, but I couldn't remember if that's already happened in Angel or where that's
actually, I think it happens later this season is the thing is when things take a turn, he gets his throat slit and shit. But I think this is sort of like it's funny because I think The Wish kind of did this too in Buffy, where it's sort of like you get introduced to this Dark Willow character, and then not long after that, you really get to see actual Dark Willow in our reality manifest in that way. So it's like kind of this sort of thing where like they sort of introduce you to a concept of what a character could be early on through an alternate reality, and then actually fully go there later on.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I like that. I like that, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, they take everyone back to the gang's hideout. This is not a named space, but it's just some apartment. They go to see Angel, and they reveal that when Doyle passed away, his best friend in the world was Angel, and he gave Angel the powers of the Vision.
Which means that Doyle had to kiss Angel the same way he kissed Cordelia to pass along those visions. And the writer of the episode has said, yep, that's what I was thinking about when I wrote it. They don't call it out.
Do you then interpret that his only friend was also like a confirmed bachelor situation? That maybe there was like a romance between Angel and Doyle?
I think it could have, because the whole reason that, I think there's a couple ways you can interpret it, right? So I think I would love to believe that, because it's like the whole reason Doyle passed them along to Cordelia was because he loved her and trusted her with that. I could also see it being case because the powers that be, don't interact with love or whatever, but it maybe wasn't a love thing with Angel. It's maybe that the powers that be allowed Doyle to pass along those visions to Angel because Angel is a demon. I would like to believe the gay narrative. I don't know that I would buy Angel and Doyle falling in love just simply without Cordelia's presence, given knowing their relationship in the first season. But anything's possible. Either way, I love the idea that the two kissed passionately one way or another. I think that's really fun, platonic or not. So,
Whatever gets you through the night, Derek. Well, Cordelia does go to talk to Angel, but he doesn't recognize her. In fact, he doesn't recognize a lot.
171. You'll see 171. My head doesn't hurt. My head doesn't hurt. No more. That doesn't hurt.
You don't remember me, do you?
I wanted to die, but I was afraid to die.
Including that he doesn't recognize that he is a vampire and he is in a room with no curtains and tons of windows. But whatever. We got this room. It was cheap. We're moving on. One thing leads to another. She kisses him, and she suddenly remembers everything. The visions pass back to her, and Skip comes back onto the scene and freezes time.
We made a deal. You gave up the visions, not to mention the certain death that goes with them, and you get to live out your dream. Call me crazy. I thought that was a pretty fair trade.
Sure, it's fair. But it wasn't me.
We've been over this. I respect what you're trying to do. It's noble and heroic and all that other Russell Crowe gladiator crap.
You've seen...
Didn't love it. The fact remains that humans are not strong enough to harbor the visions. Period. Even the powers that be can't change that.
Then find a loophole, Skip. I know my purpose in this world, and it includes the visions. And if the powers that be aren't complete dumbasses, they know it too.
There may be a tiny loophole.
I'll take it.
You may want to think about that. The only way you get to keep the visions is by becoming part demon. The process isn't easy. It'll make your vision pain feel like a stroll through Candyland. And even after the agony subsides, the effects from the transformation would be numerous and unpredictable. You may never be able to lead a human life again.
So, demonize me already.
But she demands a loophole because she is Queen Cordelia Chase. And Skip relents. There is a loophole. We can make her part demon. Cordelia consents and says, demonize me already.
This whole fucking bit with her is so everything she says is so good. The fact that there's zero hesitation, it's like, it's going to be the most painful experience you've ever had. It'll change your life. You don't know what's going to happen. You might never be able to live a human life again. And it's like not a beat where she says, demonize me already. Like, doesn't even fucking have to think about it. It's like, I know what I want to do. I have no neuroses. I have no hesitation about this. I'm not nervous about it. I just fucking know and do it. Just do it. I love that. And I also love, it's like, if the powers that be are complete dumbasses, like they know that I should have these too.
Right.
Like, it's just, it's so fucking good. It is just like, that's the thing. I remember when I first watched this episode being a little bit disappointed of how short the alternate reality was. And then I think coming back to it is when I realized with this scene, it's just sort of like, the whole point of this is that she at her core so fundamentally knows that her purpose is to have these visions, is to help people, that like, it wouldn't take long to come to this conclusion for her. Of course, things happen rapidly. The second that she's living another life, she's just sort of like, oh, there's something else I should do. I need to help people. Oh, fuck. Visions. Make me a demon. Let's like, of course, it's going to happen in rapid succession because she knows what she wants. Like, that's what makes her character so great.
Yeah, I love it. I also liked that this quote that you got from Marsh Smith, which was that Angel went mad, not just because he had the visions, but because he didn't have Cordelia in his life. And she was one of the things that brought him closer to humanity. I really like that.
I do too. I think that's the thing that I think would be easy to miss if you're just reading this on the surface, you know? It is just sort of like, Angel went crazy because he has psychic visions, you know? But it's like, I mean, Cordelia didn't. Like, she was fine with them, you know? The whole reason is that it's like, if Angel has these, then he's like, famously is a brooding vampire who doesn't let people in, you know, like, of course you're not going to be able to handle feeling all the pain of everyone in the city. And also, I think Cordelia is, because she is so particularly self-confident and doesn't have like the self-hating streak that Angel also famously does. Like, she's not gonna feel weird about it. It's just she's just going to take it at face value. This is the pain that people are feeling. I'm going to do something about it, you know?
Right. Wow. She has such, there's such a negative connotation associated with the idea of ego, but she has such strong ego presence that it doesn't, she can have empathy without losing her ego presence, which is frankly really an important skill.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. People talk about self-care all the time. Yeah. Like, that's kind of what that's more than what it is than just like taking a bath every like once a month or something, you know? It's like just being able to recognize that, like, as much as other people need help and like need you in their life, like, you also need yourself. You are also a people. Like, you are also a person who, you know, needs to be cared for and deserves, you know, to live your best life as well, right? So, and it doesn't have to be a mutually exclusive thing. You can be living your best life and you know, happy with yourself and who you are, while also, you know, being there for other people at the same time.
Yeah. Well, Cordelia has made her choice. She's back to the regular reality that we started the episode in. Cordelia wakes up and she does that old check. What did I get? What demon am I? And she checks. There's no horns, no tails. She's happy.
Cordelia, what's the last thing you remember?
When? I've been so... Oh, you mean the vision downstairs? No, I had the vision, but it's been taken care of. There was this actress and a one-armed guy. It's a long story, but right now we have to solve my vision.
The one you just said was taken care of?
No, the one I'm having right now. There's a young man in a park in Glendale, somewhere near a pond. There's a demon waiting for him. He's red with 5 horns.
Cordy.
What?
She's having another vision, but there's no pain. Instead, they all discover that the aspect of the demon that she's displaying, it's that she's levitating about 18 inches off the ground, and that takes us out of the episode.
Smash cut. I know you have 2 questions, and I have answers for both of them, so
okay,
ask
great.
away.
So I do know the practical answer for the first one, which is, why does this go so quickly here at the end?
I mean, it does, but here's the thing. I think that like that's a very Buffyverse thing. Buffy and Angel both do this thing where it's like, it's a thing that I actually appreciate a lot. That like a lot of as much as TV learned from Buffy, I think one thing that it often hasn't learned is that sometimes you can just end the story when it is ready to end. And the thing is, like, we fucking know, like, Cordelia learned a lesson, and we know that this stuff is going to be dealt with in future episodes. Cordelia going forward is going to deal with the part demon aspect of her. The important part is that she wakes up and is sort of like, this is where I am now. I'm part demon. I can handle the visions.
Yeah.
And I got a weird power. Smash cut. It makes it sort of like, you don't have to dwell on it. I think there's something also funny about that smash cut of just
I had a great laugh. I had a great laugh at this.
Yeah. I think it is just a tactic that these shows use of just like going out on a high note and just not dwelling on things. Because otherwise, like, we don't need the characters to then discuss what just happened. We know that's going to happen off screen, and then you start the next episode,
that's a good
like,
point.
moving on past that conversation,
I wonder why I was tolerant of this in our last episode of Gimmicks when Leela woke up and we were good to go. And here for Cordelia, I seem to expect something different. And maybe it's just that I want more time with Charisma.
I think that's part of it. And it is... I think because, with Futurama, I think because it was sort of like a mystery with that.
Yeah,
and then you immediately get your
My
answer.
mystery
and
was
you're
resolved
out
and
on
I was
it.
done, yeah.
Yeah. With this one, I think you do want to know more. It's just sort of like, this major change happened with Cordelia.
Yeah.
She is part demon now. And we know that there's going to be some kind of ramifications. What are the ramifications? And it's like, well, you'll have to wait for the next episode for that because we're a serialized television series.
That's true. All right. Well, it was just episode 11. So I had the next one on the disc. So I was probably fine. I'm probably overthinking it now. So let me get to the real question, which is what happened to Cynthia? Does she get eaten?
I think it is a flaw of the episode that is very unclear, but I do think that the simple answer, because Cordelia quickly is sort of like, oh no, that's been taken care of. An actress helped her.
Okay, great.
So I think the reality is, I think it goes back to history was never completely rewritten.
This
it was
is
just
sort of
papered
happening.
over.
Yeah.
So all of those events still happened. It's just like everyone's memory of them basically happened differently because the powers that be then just sort of like, never mind, scratch the Cordelia TV show. Wes has his arm back now. Fred's back here. But like all the stuff, like saving that girl still happened. It just in everyone's memory happened differently now.
Okay.
And like,
I'm
and it's
there.
like,
I like
if you
that.
think about it too much, it doesn't really make, there's a lot of questions and it opens a can of worms. Doesn't really make sense, but like, it's magic. It happened. Both things happened at the same time in reality. Just the way the world is now going forward is back to the way it was.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm not pedantic. You look at the IMDb trivia on this episode, and people are like, you can see that Wesley's arm wasn't cut off. And my response to that is like, we did not cut off Alexei Denisov's arm. We don't do that. Like that. It was, I remember working a play once, Derek, you'll appreciate this as a theater guy. We were doing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and spoilers for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest coming. After he is smothered at the end of the series, I could hear verbally from the audience somebody saying, I can still see him breathing. Like, yeah, no, fuck. We didn't just commit homicide in front of you in live theater.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Can I also continue on this thread?
Yes.
It's the only thing ever. I was at, I remember forever ago when I was at Disney World. I think maybe it was Universal Studios because it was the Jurassic Park thing. Wherever it was. I was at an amusement park in Florida.
Yeah.
And it was a dinosaur thing where it was just an animatronic and or puppet dinosaur hatching out of an egg. Coolest fucking thing ever. Just like in Jurassic Park. Someone we were standing around said, that is so fake. Do you think it was going to be a real dinosaur?
It's not a real dinosaur. Not a real dinosaur. We would have charged you so much more. Watch the movie. For details.
What do you think? Where do you think you are? Everything is fake.
That.
What are you talking about?
Despise that. No,
People are
I hate
stupid.
that. Like,
it makes me so mad.
You need a part of yourself that's willing to not believe things, and I think you need it a lot more when you're in practical experiences like the theater and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's true in TV too. Like, we don't cut off actors' arms. They did everything they could to hide it from you. It was probably, I didn't notice it. I think it was probably great.
Yeah, I mean, to a greater extent. Like, the thing that I honestly have always liked about the Buffyverse in particular is that, like, it was a show that was okay with often playing fast and loose with its lore and its world if it was to the benefit of telling a better story. I think if they wanted to go deep down in the well of deeply explaining exactly how they go and save Cynthia or whatever, like, then what is that just takes away from Cordelia's story and is the problem, like I said before, where it's like you dwell too much when really the story's over. We can just end it. Like, it's been dealt with. Cordelia said it's been dealt with. I trust what she says. If she says that the Cynthia thing has been dealt with and she's fine,
it's been dealt
with.
I
believe you, Cordy.
Yep.
You seem great. Why would you lie about that?
She earned it. She earned that trust, Derek. She earned that trust from you and from everybody watching.
Right. Like, at the end of the day, it is a television show telling you a story, and the story has been told. There's details you can nitpick. I nitpicked the Latin or whatever, but you can also rationalize all that shit if you try hard enough, because you know it's all fake anyway. As long as the story being told is making an emotional impact on you, that's all that matters, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Derek, is there anything else we need to talk about for this episode of Angel?
I love Cordelia Chase as a character. I haven't said it enough. And this episode is such an ode to her as a character. You know, I wouldn't say that this is the best episode of Angel, I think, but I do think that that's because Angel has a lot of very good episodes and is a very good TV show. Like any show, it has rocky points. You do have to get through some bullshit in the first season, but once it like really hits on the gas, like especially season 2 and 3 are some of the best seasons of genre television I think ever made. Like, people have made the arguments that it is at its best, Angel is as good and maybe sometimes better than Buffy. Like, and I think there's a solid argument for that in its consistency, in its serialized storytelling. And, you know, and I think people to this day still kind of sleep on it because it is the Buffy spinoff about Angel, but I think if you never really understood the love that Cordelia gets from people, I think you should definitely check it out. And if you just want to see some good genre TV, it's definitely worth checking out. And I think if you want to see proof of all of Joss Whedon's flaws on display as well, I think it's a good show to watch for that, because the worst stuff about this show is you can very easily point to Whedon's own real life bullshit that he's dealing with on screen and how that's affecting the show that you're watching.
Yeah, you will genuinely feel it in your bones.
It's
when you
weird.
Get to it.
It's like weird when you watch it with that knowledge.
Yep. 100%. Well, Derek, if folks want to share their experiences going through Angel with you, where can they find you online?
Sure, you can find me. I'm most active on Twitter at Derek B. Gale, but I'm also on other places under that name, or Dare Bear, Mr. Dare Bear. I also do a podcast with Glitterjaw with my co-host Doug called Walloping Web Snappers, where we do deep dives into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made. We also have a new podcast that we're doing together that's a monthly podcast called Screonk, a Godzilla movie marathon where we're stomping through all of Godzilla's movies. Doug has not seen almost all of them, so this is his first time watching them, and I'm kind of guiding him through that process, and it's been really, really fun. And like I said, both of those are a part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. What about you, David?
Yeah, if you want to find me online, you can find me almost everywhere as DMuma. That's DMUMA. I also host a podcast here on Glitterjaw called Are You My Mother, that looks at mothers and mother figures in media, for us to have a quick queer conversation about what that means for us with a guest every episode.
Gimmicks is part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you're looking for other queer media podcasts, check out the full roster of Glitterjaw shows at glitterjaw.com, which includes all those shows we just mentioned to you just now.
And if you want to support this show by giving us a little tip, you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/gimmickspod. You can also follow the podcast at gimmickspod on Twitter and Instagram, and email us your questions, feedback, and corrections to gimmickspodcast@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe on all podcast platforms. And until next time, friends,
keep being weird.
So world's full of laughter. You got my heart a little wild. Hey, little thing hanging from the rafters. Ooh, baby, stay a while. Ooh, baby, stay a while. Ooh, baby, stay a while.
What is your childhood trauma?